Chapter 499, The Proud Crown Prince, 42. Chapter 499, The Proud Crown Prince, 42. It was common knowledge that millions of candidates participated in Imperial College's entrance exam every year. The exam consisted of a written test and a physical tryout. The top 1,000 candidates of the written test would qualify to take part in the physical tryout, and the 100 students with the best scores in the latter would be admitted. Feng Wu darted a look at Chaoga. Chaoga, join me for the exam. Huh? Me? Chaoga found the suggestion unbelievable. But I can't, can I? I can take part in the written test, but to apply for the physical one, you have to be a level 9 spiritual master at least. I'm only a level 7 now. And she had only made a breakthrough because Feng Wu had pointed her in the right direction with that inky rain painting. Feng Wu rolled her eyes. The exam is 7 days away, isn't it? Xiao Wu, are you saying that I can go from level 7 to level 9 in 7 days? How is that even possible? Chaoga wouldn't believe it. Feng Wu smiled. Why not? As a matter of fact, I think it's doable. Do you think I'll be able to achieve that? Yes, Feng Wu said earnestly. All right. Chaoga smacked her hand on the table. If Xiao Wu says I can do it, I can do it. You're applying for Imperial College? Count me in. Feng Wu was doing it all for Chaoga's good. If the girl could get into Imperial College, she would no longer have to go back to her loveless family. If she wanted, she could come live with Feng Wu. Feng Wu made a mental note that after she bought the Feng Manor, she would invite Chaoga over to cultivate there as well. The girl would be thrilled at the speed of her progress. However, Chaoga wavered when she came back to reality. But Xiao Wu, we only have 7 days, and we don't even know what the written exam looks like. What are we going to do? What kind of questions do they usually have in the written test? Feng Wu asked casually. Chaoga felt like crying. Xiao Wu, from the way you put it, I thought you were ready for it, but in fact, you don't even know the type of questions in the written exam. Are you trying to scare me to death? Feng Wu shrugged. The idea of going to Imperial College never occurred to me before. When did you come up with the idea, then? Yesterday. Chaoga was rendered speechless. Feng Wu said, Why are you giving me that look? Taking Feng Wu's hand, Chaoga said sincerely, Xiao Wu, how about we give up? Why? Feng Wu was bewildered. Chaoga was very serious. Xiao Wu, people usually take at least 10 years to prepare for this entrance exam. Only after 10 years of studying and practicing is one qualified to sit the exam. And we're going to just walk in like this. The physical tryout aside, we'll probably hand in blank sheets for the written exam. That bad? Feng Wu frowned. Yes. Xiao Wu, have you read any of the past exam papers that got out? The questions are so profound. They cover everything from literature, history, art, and geography to theories on elements, formation, and even medicine, basically anything you can think of. How are we even going to begin to answer any of those without 10 years of preparation? There's also a discourse on politics, which can be anything. We probably won't be able to even understand the question. So, how about we drop it now? Can it be that difficult? Feng Wu frowned. Yes, it can. Xiao Wu, the maximum score for the written exam is 300, which takes up 30% of the total score. Without any preparation, we might as well give up on those 300 marks now, Chaoga said in resignation. Chapter 500, The Proud Crown Prince, 43. Chapter 500, The Proud Crown Prince, 43. Can we get any sample papers? Feng Wu asked. Chaoga shook her head. Only the teachers of Imperial College have those. I heard that Grand Secretary Feng is one of the guest advisors at Imperial College, and he played a big part in the design of the exam papers. He's been head of the exam board for the past few years. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. Grand Secretary Feng. Feng Wu didn't know many names in the Imperial capital, but Grand Secretary Feng. She had been meaning to get in touch with him in the last few days. She had her eye on Grand Secretary Feng's manor. Feng Wu asked, Are you referring to Grand Secretary Feng, the one that's retiring soon? Chaoga nodded. That's him. It's said that Grand Secretary Feng is from the south, and he's planning to go back to his hometown after retirement. I heard that he has already resigned from all his government positions. Sigh. I wish we knew Grand Secretary Fong. That way, at least we could borrow some past papers from him. We're running around in the dark with our eyes closed at the moment. Feng Wu clapped her hands. Let's go to Grand Secretary Fong, then. In fact, Feng Wu was quite confident about the breadth and depth of her knowledge, but it would be safer to have access to some sample questions. Moreover, Chaoga needed such sample questions even more. It just so happened that Grand Secretary Fong lived right next door to Feng Wu. It would be such a waste if she didn't take advantage of that. Chaoga didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xiao Wu, what are you thinking? You do realize who Grand Secretary Fong is, right? He's like a national treasure. We can't just walk in and talk to him. Plus, we can't even get near him even if we know where he lives. I'll think of something. Feng Wu sat down and tapped the table with her fingers. She then looked up at Chaoga. Do you know who Grand Secretary Fong's close friends are? I have no idea. But I've heard that Grand Secretary Fong specializes in formations, and he's as competent in that field as Grandmaster Wu. Maybe Grandmaster Wu is his good friend? Chaoga didn't sound very certain. Grandmaster Wu, as in Priest Wu? Wasn't he that Master Bian's teacher? An idea struck Feng Wu, and she snapped her fingers. Priest Wu? Well, if he's the one, I've left a hint for him already, said Feng Wu cheerfully. A hint. Chaoga looked at Feng Wu in confusion. When? Yesterday in Elegant Ink Gallery. You were there as well. Feng Wu reminded her. Do you remember that Master Bien? Of course. What he said almost got us killed. Chaoga flared up at the mention of that name, and she clenched her fists angrily. That Master Bien certainly didn't impress her. Feng Wu said, I made that Master Bien purchase that whistling vase in the end. Right, Xiao Wu, you set him up in the end. Ha ha ha. That Master Bien's face almost turned green. Good job. He deserved that for working against us. Feng Wu said, but I didn't set him up. Chaoga was confused. I gave him an opportunity, Feng Wu said cryptically, but it seems that he gave it away. What? Chaoga was even more confused. She understood every word Xiao Wu said, but put them together into a sentence, and she was at a loss. Feng Wu explained to her, if he had been clever enough, he should have shown up outside Fallen Star Yard and begged for my forgiveness. But he didn't. Chaoga was dumbfounded. What was that about? English, please? Chapter 501, The Proud Crown Prince, 44. Chapter 501, The Proud Crown Prince, 44. Seeing that she had successfully confused Chaoga, Feng Wu chuckled. You don't have to understand everything. All you need to know now is that we can start from this Grandmaster Wu and work our way up to Grand Secretary Fong. Once they made Grand Secretary Fong's acquaintance, all would be easy. They could borrow as many past papers as they wanted. Moreover, Feng Wu was trying to purchase Grand Secretary Fong's manor, and she had been looking for a chance to meet the old man, but she hadn't been able to find one until now. Feng Wu had thought about using Feng Sun as a go-between, but she then realized that Jun Lin Yuan didn't like her interacting with Feng Sun too often, although she had no idea why. Hence, she had to depend on herself now. But how are we supposed to get to know Grandmaster Wu? Will Master Bien recommend us to him? Chaoga found that approach rather unreliable. That's right. Chaoga smacked a hand on her thigh and cried out. I remember. You remember what? Feng Wu looked at her in bewilderment. Master Bien participated in the creation of Imperial College's essence-gathering formation, right? I just remembered that someone told me that his master was a guest advisor at Imperial College and a big shot in the formation department. Come to think of it, they were referring to Grandmaster Wu. Chaoga sighed with emotion. Both Fong and Wu are valuable assets of the Empire, and I'd be over the moon if they were to somehow appreciate our capabilities. But they're such superior figures that I can't see how we're going to get ourselves noticed. Sigh. Feng Wu smiled. Not necessarily. Just then, Uncle Chiu came in and looked at Feng Wu in a strange way. Feng Wu was confused. Uncle Chiu, what's wrong? Do you have news for me? Uncle Chiu said awkwardly, Miss, didn't you tell me to ask around about where Grandmaster Wu lives? Feng Wu nodded. If I'm not mistaken, Priest Wu is coming this way. Uncle Chiu didn't know how to describe his feelings at that moment. Exactly how lucky could Miss Wu be? As soon as she wanted to find out where Grandmaster Wu lived, Grandmaster Wu was on her doorstep. That's a happy coincidence. Even Feng Wu was surprised, and she rose to her feet involuntarily. Chaoga's eyes widened. Uncle Chiu, are you talking about the Grandmaster Wu? The treasure of the Empire? Uncle Chiu nodded in a solemn manner. Yes, Master Bien was with him, so it has to be the guy. Are they coming here? Chaoga cried out in surprise. No, if I've guessed right, they're going to the Fong Manor. Feng Wu looked pensive. Please don't tell her that Priest Wu had his eye on the Fong Manor as well. Xiao Wu, this is a great opportunity. What are we going to do? Chaoga tugged at Feng Wu's sleeve in excitement. Talk about sheer luck. Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong were under the same roof now, and it would be such a waste if they didn't seize this opportunity. Rubbing her chin, Feng Wu walked back and forth in the room. Her head was spinning and several ideas came to her, but she ruled all of them out. All of a sudden, Feng Wu's eyes lit up. She knew what to do. At the same time, in the Fong Manor next door to the Feng Manor, Grand Secretary Fong stood in front of a window and was examining the whistling vase in an affectionate way. He had noticed the unusual characteristics of this whistling vase yesterday, which was why he had decided to buy it. However, after examining it closely last night, Grand Secretary Fong realized in surprise that Chapter 502, The Proud Crown Prince, 45. Chapter 502, The Proud Crown Prince, 45. Grand Secretary Fong realized that although the vase itself was a fake antique, the formation within was very profound. Every time he listened to it, he had a different feeling. It was amazing. Grand Secretary Fong was a gaunt old man. He beckoned at someone behind him. Almost instantly, his old steward showed up. Find out who that young lady is. Be thorough about it. Yes. The steward left as quickly as he had shown up. How amazing, General Secretary Fong sighed with emotion. At such a young age, she could come up with such an intricate formation in such a short time. She's a genius. There's no doubt about it. Grand Secretary Fong had seen his fair share of the world and had met more than enough geniuses. However, none of those could compare with the Whistling Vase Girl. What a spectacular girl. I wonder if I'll be able to see her again. Grand Secretary Fong regretted not taking her more seriously earlier. Grand Secretary Fong held some old grudges against Priest Wu from back in the day, and he had decided that he would use this opportunity to laugh at the latter, outside the Fong Manor. Master Bien helped Priest Wu out of the carriage. Priest Wu was an old man with white hair and a goatee. Despite his age, he was hale and hearty and had a youthful look on his face. Just then, bang, a rock hit the carriage. Priest Wu dodged to the left, and everyone looked up at the top of the wall. Feng Wu sat there with her legs dangling over the wall. Are you Priest Wu? Feng Wu only knew the man by name and had never met him in person before. Hence, she asked the question curiously. Feng Wu sat there against the light, and the evening glow limned her figure. With the halo around her, she looked like a fairy. Priest Wu didn't linger on Feng Wu's face. He saw what Feng Wu was holding and frowned. That's too valuable a thing for someone this young to play with. How wasteful. The moral degeneration of the world is getting worse day by day. He walked off, shaking his head. Master Bien followed Priest Wu everywhere. Chang Yu, his senior martial brother, was the one who usually did the job. However, Chang Yu had been ill in the last few days, and the honorable task had landed on Master Bien's shoulders. It was such a rare opportunity that Master Bien spared no effort to make Priest Wu's life as comfortable as possible. Delighted, Priest Wu had decided to teach his student an advanced formation later. Master Bien had realized that as well, and was feeling very smug. He recognized Feng Wu immediately. It's you. Master Bien frowned. Priest Wu darted a look at Master Bien and sounded displeased. You know her? Yes, Master, said Master Bien. She's the girl I told you about, the one who swindled me out of 1,000 top-grade spiritual stones. Master, do you not know her? Priest Wu frowned. Why should I know such a vain girl? That settled Master Bien's mind. This Miss Feng Wu had mentioned Priest Wu that day, which had flustered him quite a bit as he feared that she somehow knew his master. Master Bien smirked. It was a good thing he hadn't given his master that whistling vase, as the girl had said to. As he helped Priest Wu into the Feng Manor, Master Bien darted a contemptuous look at Feng Wu. Chowga was upset. What did that old man mean? What vain girl? How could he say such things about Xiao Wu? Feng Wu only smiled. Chapter 503 The Proud Crown Prince, 46. Chapter 503 The Proud Crown Prince, 46. Xiao Wu, why are you smiling? Seriously, you wear such simple and modest clothes. How did he come to that conclusion? That's a mean old man. Chowga said indignantly. Feng Wu only smiled at first, but she was so amused that she soon broke into laughter. Chowga stared at her in bewilderment. Why are you laughing? You were told off. Feng Wu chuckled. My beautiful master was right. Priest Wu is an upright man who hates it when people let formations go to waste. That man was Priest Wu, all right. Beautiful master? As in that beautiful master from your dreams? Chowga was intrigued. But Feng Wu didn't want to talk about her beautiful master with Chowga, for her master was her own secret, and she didn't want to share it with anyone else. Feng Wu grunted proudly. I'm not going to talk about it. Chowga said in resignation. What about Priest Wu, then? What did you hear about what he's like? And whoever told you that sounds so superior? Feng Wu said stubbornly. I'm not telling you. Chowga stared at Feng Wu. Every time you don't tell me something, it has to do with that beautiful master in your dreams. Feng Wu gloated. She then gave a wave of her hand. Let's go. Where to? The Feng Manor. Feng Wu grinned. That's where Priest Wu went, and that's where we're going. Chowga was dubious about that plan. Priest Wu was at Grand Secretary Feng's place as a guest. There was no way they would be invited in as well. She heard the conversation between Feng Wu and Steward Feng. The steward said, Miss, I'm sorry, but we're not accepting visitors today. Chowga looked at Feng Wu. I told you. See, Feng Wu said matter-of-factly. Isn't the manor for sale? We're not visitors, but buyers. Chowga was speechless. She hadn't seen that coming. Why were they going to buy the manor? Xiao Wu was clever. Chowga didn't worship the genius girl for nothing. Steward Feng hesitated. But we're entertaining an honorable guest today. I'm afraid you'll have to come back another day for the house tour. Feng Wu smiled. That won't be necessary. I think the manor looks great. Steward Feng thought to himself. Of course you do. Everyone thinks this manor is great. He said with an impassive face. The manor is selling for 100,000 taels of silver. All right, and a 1,000-year-old ginseng, a 5,000-year-old lingji mushroom, and a 10,000-year-old Chinese knotweed as well. All right. Moreover, you'll only qualify to purchase the manor if you can answer the question on this piece of paper in 3 days. Steward Feng handed Feng Wu a piece of paper. Feng Wu had seen him give Yi Fei the same piece of paper when she had sat on the wall the other day. Feng Wu had planned to take a peek at Yi Fei's paper when she followed the ladder to World Tower, but after everything that happened, she forgot all about it. Now, she finally knew what the question was. Seeing Feng Wu read the question on the spot, Steward Feng said grumpily, You have 3 days to think about it. There's no need to rush. Miss, you should leave now. He tried to shoo Feng Wu out the door after that. However, Feng Wu only gestured at Chowga. Give me a pen, please. Chowga had come prepared, and she took out a ready-to-use writing brush from her chest pocket. Unlike a regular writing brush, which had to be dipped into ink to use, this one came with a soaked tip and could be used instantly. Whoosh! Feng Wu started writing right away. She gave the pen back to Chowga a minute later and handed the paper back to Steward Feng. I don't need 3 days. I've solved the problem already. Mr. Feng, please give the answer to your master. Feng Wu clapped her hands. Steward Feng didn't check the answer, for he didn't understand it. Chapter 504. It should have been yours. Chapter 504. It should have been yours. But the look he gave Feng Wu wasn't friendly at all, for he thought that Feng Wu was being disrespectful and that she had only written down some random nonsense. Quick, give it to your master. Chao prompted him. Although she had no idea what Feng Wu had in mind, Chao never questioned Feng Wu's decisions. Steward Feng frowned. Of all the potential house buyers he had met, this girl was the only one who treated the test so casually. All the others had been very serious. At that thought, the steward disliked Feng Wu even more. Hence, he waved Feng Wu off. I'll show it to my master later. Go back and wait for further instructions. Meanwhile, in the Feng manor, Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu sat on their knees, facing each other. Both kept their backs ramrod straight and had tranquil looks in their eyes. Between them was a Bollywood tea table. On the table stood the porcelain whistling vase. Master Bien knelt next to Priest Wu, while a teenager stood at Grand Secretary Feng's side. The teenager had a refined and elegant air about him. With a glance, one could tell that he was from a noble family and that he was one of the eminent offspring. If Feng Wu were here, she would recognize him right away, for it was none other than Xian himself. Xian, he was very respectful toward Grand Secretary Feng, who was his maternal grandfather. Right now, Grand Secretary Feng wasn't paying attention to Xian. He was staring at Priest Wu. Priest Wu, on the other hand, was completely absorbed in that whistling vase. He listened to it attentively, and there was a serene look on his face. A while passed before Priest Wu slowly opened his eyes, which were limpid and sagacious. What a mind-calming formation. It reminds me of a warm spring day and makes me feel as if I'm strolling in a sea of flowers with a spring breeze brushing past my cheeks. It can cast all anger away and calm one's mind. This is definitely a master-level formation, and maybe even more advanced than that. More importantly, this mind-calming formation was perfect for Priest Wu, who was irascible and prone to agitation. Priest Wu had always been a step away from the supreme level because of his short temper. Grand Secretary Feng, is it possible for you to part with this treasure? Priest Wu asked. Master Bien blanched at those words. He had broken into a cold sweat as soon as he recognized the sagacious old man, and a chilly sensation ran down his spine when he heard how highly his master spoke of this whistling vase. As expected, Grand Secretary Feng glanced at Priest Wu. You like it? Brother Feng, you know me too well. I get grumpy so easily. If I have this whistling vase with a mind-calming formation in it, I might be able to rise to the supreme level. Despite his superior status, Priest Wu was still a junior to Grand Secretary Feng. He cupped his fists and smiled bitterly. Brother Feng, I apologize for offending you in the past. Please forgive me and sell me this whistling vase. Grand Secretary Feng smiled cryptically, but said nothing in reply. Brother Feng, how about this? You know my collection very well. May I trade one of my pieces for this vase? The formation in this vase wasn't exactly advanced, but the design was so intricate and sophisticated that it was worth studying. Moreover, it met Priest Wu's needs. And that wasn't something that could be measured with money alone. Grand Secretary Feng darted a glance at Master Bien, then casually said, This whistling vase should have been yours. What? Priest Wu was pleasantly surprised. Mine? How so? Why don't I know about it? Master Bien couldn't stop sweating. Chapter 505, Forgive Me, Master. Chapter 505, Forgive Me, Master. Priest Wu found it unbelievable. That was impossible. This was his first time seeing this whistling vase. There was no way that he would have let other people have it if he had seen it first. Grand Secretary Feng didn't say anything, but only gave Master Bien a sidelong glance. Master Bien's mind went blank. Priest Wu also shifted his gaze to Master Bien. Master Bien drained of all color. Actually, speak. Priest Wu bellowed, his eyes glinting coldly. He was short-tempered to begin with, and this only set him off. What have you been keeping from me? Speak. Well, said Master Bien. Actually, it was a young lady who sold off this whistling vase. And you were there? Priest Wu's face darkened a little. Yes, Master Bien nodded gingerly. You idiot. Priest Wu smacked Master Bien on the back of his head. Why didn't you buy the vase yourself? That was it. Grand Secretary Fong bought it before you could, right? More cold sweat trickled down Master Bien's forehead. Eh, actually, Master Bien was almost in tears, but he had no choice but to tell the truth, for Grand Secretary Fong was right here. Word on the street was that Priest Wu had once set up Grand Secretary Fong, and the latter was probably doing this on purpose. Master, how about we talk about it after we get back? Master Bien suggested. However, Priest Wu smacked him on his head again. We're not going anywhere. Tell me what happened now. Priest Wu was known for his short temper. Master Bien couldn't stall any longer and said disconsolately, "The young lady sold that vase to me at first." What? Priest Wu almost jumped to his feet. He stared at Master Bien. What happened? Tell me everything. What do you mean she sold it to you at first? Despite his reluctance, Master Bien had no choice but to tell Priest Wu everything that had taken place at Elegant Ink Gallery. Priest Wu said, so she was able to recognize a fake piece with one glance and effortlessly set up a formation as advanced as a mind-calming formation. How come I've never heard of such a talented person in the Imperial capital? Seeing that Priest Wu's attention had shifted to the girl, Master Bien said in a hurry, "That's right. She was from the Imperial capital, and she was so young. That was why I didn't recognize her work." Priest Wu glared at Master Bien. "If that girl sold you the vase, why didn't you bring it back to me?" Well, Master Bien wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "Because Grand Secretary Fong bought it from me." "Old Fong, you forced him to sell it to you, didn't you?" Priest was very upset. That whistling vase should have been his. That girl with the unmatched talent had specifically said that it was for him. "I forced him?" "Huh." Grand Secretary Fong snorted. "There was no need for that. Your pupil here was so ignorant that he willingly sold the vase to me at the original price." Priest Wu was so furious that he wanted to beat Master Bien up. As a matter of fact, that was exactly what he did. Grabbing his walking stick, he struck Master Bien with it repeatedly. "You imbecile! You idiot! One day, you'll give me a heart attack. This whistling vase should have been mine. That girl asked you to bring it to me. How could you be so dumb?" Chapter 506. How could you do that? Chapter 506. How could you do that? Priest Wu was so pissed, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Master Bien ran around the room in circles to dodge the walking stick. Master, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You imbecile. I'm gonna kill you." Priest Wu was relentless with his strikes. What was worse, Grand Secretary Fong watched everything with a smile on his face. He would rub his chin every now and then. It was clear that he was enjoying this. The corner of Xian Yi's mouth twitched. His grandfather was so. Wasn't he supposed to be a valuable asset of the empire? How could he be this childish? It was said that as one got older, they became more and more like a child. That was so true. His grandfather still held a grudge over some petty conflict that had happened decades ago. For his revenge, General Secretary Fong had invited Priest Wu here to savor this whistling vase today, just so that he could watch the latter beat up his pupil in vexation. It was such a childish thing to do. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. On the other side, Priest Wu, who was rather agile for his age, was still running after his pupil with the walking stick. "You idiot! Stop running. Do you have any idea how precious that whistling vase is? Do you know how wonderfully designed that formation is? A formation like that is so hard to come by. You idiot! You sold it just like that. She specifically mentioned my name, but you still sold it. I'm so pissed." Xian Yi watched in resignation. He then said to Grand Secretary Fong, "Grandpa, we're going to get Master Bien killed." Grand Secretary Fong said proudly, "He's a lousy person. He picked on that girl, and I'm only taking revenge for her. What's wrong with that?" He could make as many excuses as he wanted, but Xian Yi knew that the old man was doing it to get back at Priest Wu for that petty incident years and years ago. Xian Yi was speechless. He then turned to General Secretary Fong. "Grandpa, this girl you mentioned, is she really that good?" "Of course. If I hadn't seen her put the whistling vase back together with my own eyes, I would never have believed that a teenage girl could set up such a complicated formation in a split second. Seeing how highly Grand Secretary Fong spoke of the girl, Xian Yi was intrigued. Who is this girl? Grand Secretary Fong threw a dirty look at Xian Yi. You can't call her a girl just because I address her that way. You know what? She's about the same level as me in terms of her formation skills. That makes her equivalent to your grand aunt. Xian Yi almost choked on his tea. Him? Call a teenage girl grand aunt? He didn't know what to say, but that description only made him more curious. Grandpa, exactly who is she? He hadn't thought much of it, but after everything his grandfather said, he was very curious now. Grand Secretary Fong was a little vexed at that question. He hadn't expected to find such a profound formation in the vase, and only thought that it was more advanced than other ordinary ones. Hence, he hadn't asked his old steward to follow the girl. Sigh. Grand Secretary Fong heaved a sigh. I wish I knew who she is, but I have some leads. I'm sure I can find her. At the same time, outside the manor, Feng Wu didn't leave after handing in the answer, and the two girls relaxed in the cool shade of a palm tree. The man in charge of the household affairs of the Fong Manor, a.k.a. Steward Fong, hadn't come back out. Chao asked Feng Wu, Xiao Wu, why hasn't that steward come out? It's been 15 minutes. Grand Secretary Fong should have seen the paper by now. Chapter 507 You? Chapter 507 You? Feng Wu nodded. He should have, if everything went as planned. But judging by Steward Fong's attitude, I don't think he's shown it to his master yet. He said he was going to do it. How could he? Chowga abhorred injustice like a deadly foe, and she bolted to her feet right away. I won't have it. I need to give him a reminder. Chowga rushed to the guest hall to see Steward Fong standing in the shade with his head lowered and his hands at his sides. And that piece of paper had been crumpled into a ball and tossed on the ground. Chowga was furious. Steward Fong, how could you? Chowga cried out. She shouted at the top of her lungs, and her voice resounded in the yard. Steward Fong had been dozing, and he almost jumped at that voice. He blanched right away. Oh God, why was this girl still here? She would definitely disturb the respected guest inside. Steward Fong was so angry that he almost slapped Chowga. You want to hit me? How dare you? Chowga flared up, and she pointed at Steward Fong. You vile man. Didn't you say you were going to hand the answer to your master? And what did you do? You tossed it on the ground. You threw Xiao Wu's effort away like a piece of garbage. Why did you do that? Chowga went scarlet with rage. Steward Fong rushed to her side and covered her mouth. My dear young lady, I'm sorry, okay? It's all my fault. Please be quiet. My master is right there in the room. Those words set Chowga off completely. The dauntless girl pushed Steward Fong away, put her hands on either side of her mouth like a loudspeaker, and yelled, Grand Secretary Fong, Grand Secretary Fong, Grand Secretary Fong, help! The house is on fire. Feng Wu, who had just arrived, was rendered speechless. Steward Fong was so exasperated that he almost broke into tears. They were right outside the drawing room and a wall away from Grand Secretary Fong. The wall wasn't exactly soundproof. Grand Secretary Fong heard everything Chowga said. He frowned. As an elderly official of the Empire, the old man preferred gentle and quiet personalities. The noisy ones were his least favorite. Grand Secretary Fong darted a look at Xian Yi, and the latter took the hint right away. Grandpa, I'll get rid of them. All right. Grand Secretary Fong nodded, still frowning. Xian Yi rose to his feet and quickly went outside. Chowga was still yelling at the drawing room. Grand Secretary Fong, Grand Secretary Fong, Xiao Wu is an awesome girl. Please see her answer to the question. He pushed the door open when Chowga was still yelling, and he almost bumped into the girl. Wow. Chowga stumbled back and stared at Xian Yi. This guy looked so familiar. Where had she seen him before? Before Chowga could say another word, Xian Yi frowned and glanced at Steward Fong. That look sent chills down Steward Fong's spine. See them out. Seeing that Chowga wasn't anyone he knew, Xian Yi gave Steward Fong the order. That was the nature of Jun Lin Yuan and his friends. They were relentless toward those they deemed outsiders. They had no patience for those they found uninteresting and would get rid of those people immediately. However, Chowga cried out in surprise. "Hey, I know you. What's your name again?" "Xian Yi, isn't it?" Xian Yi darted a look at Chowga. Because of his connection to Jun Lin Yuan, Xian Yi was a well-known figure in the Imperial capital as well. Many knew him, and he found it natural that this girl would know who he was, so Xian Yi didn't think much of it. Chapter 508, Very Solid. Chapter 508, Very Solid. However, Chowga turned around and beckoned at Feng Wu. "Xiao Wu, come over here. Isn't he Xian II, the boy that you used to beat up? He cried a lot. Isn't this him?" "Xiao Wu." Xian Yi's stomach lurched. "Xian Yi?" Feng Wu walked into the yard at that moment. Their eyes met. Why are you here?" Xian Yi and Feng Wu exchanged looks, and both saw surprise on each other's faces. Chowga grinned. "Xiao Wu, that's him, right? That crybaby that you used to beat up? The one that would wait for you outside your house every day after that?" Feng Wu chuckled. Xian Yi blushed suspiciously. He coughed into his fist. Just then, Master Bien couldn't take Priest Wu's blows anymore and rushed out, burying his head in his hands and crying for his master's mercy. He missed the threshold and tripped. Hence, thump, Master Bien fell down on his face. Why were there so many people? He looked up, and he saw a face that would give him nightmares. As a matter of face, it was a face of stunning beauty. Yu, Master Bien acted as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes opened so wide it was as if his eyeballs would fall out at any moment. However, he reacted quickly and rushed toward Feng Wu the next second. It's you! It's you!" Both Feng Wu and Chowga jumped at his reaction and stumbled back involuntarily. Chowga shielded Feng Wu with her own body. "What the hell? Don't go!" Seeing them back off, especially Feng Wu, Master Bien ran after them in exasperation. "You can't leave now. I won't let you. Stop right there." Chowga flared up. How dare a middle-aged loser try to lay his hands on Xiao Wu? He had to be delusional. Hence, Chowga grabbed the nearest flower pot. It was filled with soil and very solid. Bang! Chowga swung the pot and smashed it onto Master Bien's head. Crack! The pot shattered to pieces and the soil scattered all over the ground. Arg! Master Bien cried out and blood gushed from his forehead. Chowga didn't see that coming. She said hesitantly, "You were imprudent first. I did the right thing. You can't blame me." Master Bien, imprudent? He wasn't trying to take advantage of Miss Feng. Everything happened so fast, and everyone was taken by surprise. Seeing Master Bien's bloody forehead and Chowga's unforgiving attitude, Steward Feng was furious. "Young lady, who do you think you are? Do you know who this is? Master Bien is a respected guest here. Take her." Fearing that he would be blamed for this, Steward Feng summoned some guards and was going to grab Chowga. His master would deal with her later. But, wait, Xian Yi frowned. Priest Wu was infuriated. Although he had been hitting Master Bien for the past few minutes, he only did it because the latter was his pupil. He could do whatever he wanted with his own pupil. But it was a different story when other people hurt his pupil. Hence, Priest Wu glared at Chowga and Feng Wu with a livid face. "Which one of you did this?" Priest Wu bellowed. "Confess now." Chapter 509. Who on earth is this girl? Chapter 509. Who on earth is this girl? Intimidated by Priest Wu's tone, Chowga cringed. Feng Wu stepped out with a smile. "I did it." Priest Wu stared at Feng Wu and found her very familiar. He had seen that face before. Then it came to him. He had seen her before entering the Feng Manor. The girl had a Grandmaster level formation on her bracelet, and Priest Wu had called her a vain girl. He hadn't expected to meet her again so soon. Master Bien rushed to his side and said to Priest Wu, Master, please don't blame her. It's her." Priest Wu nodded. "It's you." Priest Wu had deemed Feng Wu an extravagant girl, and he smirked. You're already this vain at such a young age. Shame on your family. Xian Yi frowned. He didn't like Priest Wu criticizing Feng Wu like that. However, before Xian Yi could intervene, Master Bian tugged at Priest Wu's sleeve and yelled, "Master, it's her, the whistling vase girl." What? Priest Wu turned around and looked at Master Bian in confusion. "I'm telling the truth, Master. This young lady made that whistling vase. I saw it with my own eyes." Priest Wu's eyes widened. He stared at Master Bian, then shifted his gaze to Feng Wu. It couldn't be. That was impossible. But she's so young. She was in her teens, right? 13 tops. Just then, footsteps came from inside. Grand Secretary Fong had come out. All this her talk intrigued Grand Secretary Fong greatly, so he came out to have a look. "Why, young lady, it's you." Priest Wu turned to stare at Grand Secretary Fong. "You know her, too?" Grand Secretary Fong snapped. "Of course I do. Back in Elegant in Gallery, this girl broke that whistling vase herself at first, then put it back together before breaking it again and sticking it together a second time. She also put in that mind-calming formation while she was at it. So many people saw it. I can't lie about that." Both Master Bien and Grand Secretary Fong were saying the same thing. Priest Wu had no choice but to believe them. He then turned to stare at the bracelet on Feng Wu's wrist, which had a formation embedded in it. He had reprimanded the girl for being vain because of that invaluable formation on her wrist. He believed that such a rare treasure should be put in a shrine and worshipped. However, if this girl really was the maker of the whistling vase, that was very embarrassing for him. Xian Yi looked at Grand Secretary Fong and Feng Wu in turn and narrowed his eyes. "Grandpa, is she the girl you were talking about?" Grand Secretary Fong nodded. "That's right. She's the one. She's unbelievably talented in formations." Xian Yi's mouth fell open. To most people, Feng Wu was a crippled good-for-nothing, but according to his grandfather, Feng Wu was incredible. "It sounds like you two know each other as well." Grand Secretary Fong found the coincidence interesting. "We do." Xian Yi nodded. Not only did they know each other, they had come back to the Imperial capital from northern border city together. "Which family is she from?" Grand Secretary Fong asked curiously. Xian Yi gave him a wry smile and pointed at the house next door. Grand Secretary Fong looked at him in confusion. Xian Yi said, "She lives right next door?" "The Fong clan." Grand Secretary Fong looked surprised. "I didn't know they had such a talented daughter. That clan is so blessed." Priest Wu had been listening to their conversation, and he interrupted them. Chapter 510, Be My Pupil. Chapter 510, Be My Pupil. He rushed up to them. "The Fong Manor? Wait, where have I heard that name before? That clan had an unmatched genius years ago, didn't they? I think her name was Feng Wu." Grand Secretary Fong nodded and said with regret, "If that girl hadn't been crippled, she would have been accomplished by now, and the Feng clan would have risen with her. What a pity." Priest Wu sighed with emotion. "I didn't expect to see such a talented member of the Feng clan again after Feng Wu. They must be so blessed by their ancestors." Grand Secretary Fong chimed in. "I have to agree with you on that. Grandpa, old Master Wu." Xian Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "This girl is the Feng we are talking about." "What?" Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu cried out in surprise, and both turned to look at Feng Wu. Both elderly men moved in unison, and even their astonished faces looked identical. "Feng Wu? That crippled girl? I thought she was dead." "That's right. I was told she passed away as well." Xian Yi said awkwardly, "Grandpa, old Master Wu, she's standing right there. Stop calling her a dead person. Look at her livid face." Grand Secretary Fong said in amazement, "Why, she really is that girl? Wow." Priest Wu's eyes widened. "If she's really Feng Wu, she's only like 14 now." "No, 13. She's 13. Grand Secretary Fong corrected him immediately. 13 years old. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu exchanged looks, and both saw resignation in each other's eyes. What did they do when they were 13? They probably didn't know the first thing about formations. As for the girl here, Her formatting skills were already so solid at the age of 13. Imagine what she would become one day. Priest Wu hurried to Feng Wu's side in one stride. "Kiddo, would you like to be my pupil?" Feng Wu frowned. Grand Secretary Feng was glad to see her reaction. "Excuse me? You're my home now. Are you trying to steal my pupil away?" He then ran up to her and pushed Priest Wu aside. "Kiddo, pick me. I'll be your master." Priest Wu nearly fell down. He ran back to Feng Wu in a hurry, pushed Grand Secretary Feng away, and tugged at Feng Wu's sleeve. "Kiddo, pick me. I'm the head of the formation department at Imperial College. I can make you a student of the department with a snap of my fingers." Grand Secretary Feng threw a dirty look at him. "What's your problem? She's already more capable than any of your graduates. She doesn't need your lousy department." After mocking Priest Wu, Grand Secretary Feng turned to Feng Wu with the brightest smile. "Miss Wu, I'm Grand Secretary Feng, and even the Emperor needs to address me as his teacher. Isn't that wonderful? Be my pupil, and I'll get you all the best resources. By the way, you know him, right?" Grand Secretary Feng was doing all he could to get this pupil. He dragged Xian Yi over and presented the latter to Feng Wu. Priest Wu was all the more vexed, for Grand Secretary Feng had a very appealing-looking grandson, while he only had an unsightly pupil. However, while everyone thought that Grand Secretary Feng was trying to set up Xian Yi and Feng Wu together, the whimsical old man said, "Look, this guy is His Royal Highness's buddy. Don't all girls want to get close to His Royal Highness?" Chapter 511. Who on earth is this girl? Chapter 511. Who on earth is this girl? The look on Feng Wu's face changed at Grand Secretary Feng's words. However, Grand Secretary Feng was too occupied to notice it. He enjoined Xiao Yi, "Take Xiao Wu to see His Royal Highness when you have the time." "Okay." Grand Secretary Feng was very pleased with himself. He was sure that any girl would jump at the opportunity to meet the Crown Prince. However, Feng Wu turned him down right away. "Jun Linyuan? I don't want to see him." Jun Linyuan. The girl had just called the Crown Prince by his name. That was bold. But Grand Secretary Feng didn't believe a word Feng Wu said. The only girls that didn't like Jun Linyuan were the ones who weren't born yet. Priest Wu gave Feng Wu a pleading look. "Kiddo, are you really not going to consider me?" Xian, he was baffled. Grandmaster Wu, a valuable asset of the Empire, and someone that even the Empire treated with great respect, looked so pitiful now that it seemed as if he was going to tug Feng Wu's sleeve and beg for her permission at any moment. The corner of Master Bian's mouth twitched. His master was so renowned that people lined up outside his door all the way to the city gates for a chance to become his pupil. Priest Wu couldn't be bothered to even spare them a glance. Master Bian never imagined that his master would one day look so piteous in front of a girl. However, instead of dropping to her knees and thanking Priest Wu for his consideration, Feng Wu only glanced at him. "You want to be my master? Is there a problem? What can you possibly teach me? What do you want to learn?" Priest Wu patted his chest and asked proudly, "What do you have to offer?" "Formations." Priest Wu gloated. "I'm the head of the formation department of Imperial College. So, can you create a supreme level formation as we speak?" Feng Wu looked at him. "Are you kidding me?" Priest Wu almost jumped on the spot. "No one could do that. All formations need to be carefully designed and set out with great care. You got to be kidding me." However, Feng Wu only took that whistling vase from Grand Secretary Feng, concentrated, and started working on the formation. Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Feng stared at Feng Wu in amazement. Feng Wu's fingers flew over the vase as they emitted streaks of white light, which flew into the whistling vase. She then handed the vase to Priest Wu. Priest Wu stared at Feng Wu in confusion. Feng Wu smiled. "Check it out." Priest Wu examined the vase suspiciously, but Grand Secretary Feng, who wasn't holding the vase, looked convinced. Back in Elegant Ink Gallery previously, Feng Wu had done the same thing with her fingers and sent white light into the vase. After that, the formation was completed. The corner of Priest Wu's mouth twitched as he examined the vase, and he stiffened. Grand Secretary Fong nudged him. Hey, wake up. What do you see? Priest Wu turned to look at Grand Secretary Fong in amazement, then shifted his gaze to Feng Wu. His lips moved. With much difficulty, he said, Grand Secretary Fong was so intrigued that he snatched the vase from Priest Wu, then examined it closely. He raised his head abruptly and stared at Feng Wu. You. Grand Secretary Fong took a deep breath. Who on earth are you? Grand Secretary Fong thought that he had encountered enough people in his lifetime to be able to judge them correctly. However, Xian Yi watched on the side blankly. Wasn't Feng Wu supposed to be a good-for-nothing? Why did his grandfather and old master Wu look like they had seen a ghost? Chapter 512. Xian Yi is baffled. Chapter 512. Xian Yi is baffled. While Xian Yi was feeling baffled, Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu stared at Feng Wu as if they had seen a ghost. That was incredible. This girl was incredible. Priest Wu was a Grandmaster-level formation master and could create formations himself, but they required calculations and in-depth study. But, just then, Feng Wu was able to upgrade an intricate master-level formation to the Grandmaster level in a matter of minutes. How could one not be dumbstruck by such excellent skills? Do you still want to teach me formations? Feng Wu smiled at Priest Wu. Priest Wu gave Feng Wu a woeful look. Kiddo, are you kidding me? Forget about becoming my pupil. I want to be your pupil now. Xian Yi's eyes widened, and he stared at Feng Wu and Priest Wu in disbelief. Wasn't Feng Wu useless? Were formations really that good? Feng Wu didn't notice the look on Xian Yi's face. She only said proudly, I have a master already, and he's the best in this land. I'm not going to be anyone else's pupil. Crossing her hands behind her back, the girl stuck out her chest proudly and looked so sure of herself that everyone else wanted to smack their own foreheads. Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong exchanged looks, then sighed in unison. She was right. With her skills, what other masters did she need? Although, Feng Wu smiled a little. I can only have one master, but if we're talking tutors, I can have as many as I want. So, would you like that? Tutors. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu wouldn't have given the offer a second thought if it had come from anyone else. However, only an idiot wouldn't want a pupil like her. But what can we teach you? The two old men thought about it and felt guilty. Priest Wu waved his hand. Forget about the tutor thing. You could be my master. And he wasn't joking. Grand Secretary Fong actually nodded in agreement. And Grand Secretary Fong was such a proud man. Xian Yi, Master Bian, and Chaoga watched with open mouths. Especially Chaoga. It was only just now at Feng Wu's place that they had been trying to figure out a way to talk to Priest Wu, who would in turn lead them to Grand Secretary Fong. As it turned out, both old men wanted to become Feng Wu's pupils. Exactly how advanced were Feng Wu's formation skills? Feng Wu waved her hand with a smile. Please don't. You'll shame me to death like this. Well, how about we forget about masters and pupils and treat one another as peers? Grand Secretary Fong settled it. Priest Wu nodded. That's right. Your formation skills are more than enough for you to work as a guest advisor in the formation department. We're indeed peers in that sense. Xian Yi was dumbfounded. Feng Wu and the two old men were peers now. But what about him? Seeing the conflicted look on Xian Yi's face, Grand Secretary Fong smacked his grandson on the back of his head. You brat, what are you looking at? Give your greetings. What? Even someone as prim as Xian Yi was bewildered. Grand Secretary Fong snapped. You heard me. Didn't we agree that Xiao Wu is our peer now? I'm your grandfather, and that makes her your grandaunt. Quickly, say hi to your grandaunt. Chapter 513. I'm applying to the martial arts department. Chapter 513. I'm applying to the martial arts department. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu had acknowledged Feng Wu's abilities. Hence, they decided to treat her as their equal. Once she was acknowledged by the professionals, they instantly became much more approachable. Xian Yi was flustered by Grand Secretary Fong's prompting. Grandaunt? He was never going to call Feng Wu that. Grandpa. The corner of Xian Yi's mouth twitched a little. Only a couple of months earlier in northern border city, he had felt so superior over Feng Wu. But now, he was told to call her grandaunt. Feng Wu gave Xian Yi a half-smile. Xian Yi had always been a serious and prim guy, and she found it so amusing to see him like this. By the way, Xiao Wu, why are you here? General Secretary Feng led Feng Wu inside in an affable manner and completely forgot about Xian Yi. Rubbing his nose, Xian Yi followed the old man in silence. Feng Wu said, I heard that you're the honorary president of Imperial College. Grand Secretary Feng waved his hand. It's just a nominal thing, and I'm a deputy president. I'm the real head of the formation department. Xiao Wu, feel free to ask me anything. Priest Wu interjected in a hurry. Feng Wu smiled. I'm talking to the right people, then. I want to apply for Imperial College this year. What? Everyone was astonished. Grand Secretary Feng was shocked. Are you kidding me? Imperial College? Why do you even need to study in Imperial College? Priest Wu said, with what you can do with formations, Imperial College is way below your level. I can make you a guest advisor directly. Feng Wu shook her head. Priest Wu stared at Feng Wu, looking alarmed. Hey, kiddo, you're pushing it. I can make you a deputy president of the formation department at most. You can't have the president position. It's mine. Grand Secretary Feng glared at Priest Wu. Why can't she have it? I'm entitled to a vote. If it were up to me, I'd choose Xiao Wu over you anytime. Old Feng, you're asking for a fight. Bring it on. The two elders looked way too old for a squabble like this, and the others watched in bafflement. It seemed, though, that this was how they usually interacted. However, Xiaobu was still in shock. A guest advisor? The deputy president. She and Xiao Wu were only here to get to know these people, so that they could borrow some past exam papers. Feng Wu looked at the two old men in resignation. I'm applying for the martial arts department. What? The quarreling pair stopped abruptly and turned their heads in unison. Feng Wu said earnestly, I want to get in the martial arts department. But you don't have any spiritual essence, do you? Xian Yi frowned at Feng Wu. How are you going to take the exam for the martial arts department? The martial arts department was the main department at Imperial College, while the departments of formation, medicine, and some others were minor ones. Although the formation and medicine departments were minor ones with fewer students, they weren't that much inferior in status. This was because there were many more practitioners of the martial arts, whereas awakening talent in formations or medicine was much more difficult than in martial arts. Less than 1 in 1,000 students had such talent, which made them much more precious. Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu gazed at Feng Wu as well. They had long realized that Feng Wu had no spiritual essence. Moreover, with what had happened back then, she was indeed a good-for-nothing when it came to cultivation. However, she was brilliant nonetheless. After her main path was cut off, she had somehow managed to blaze a trail of her own. But now, when she had almost reached the pinnacle after that trial, she was telling them that she was going back to that blocked main road. Chapter 514, Registration Closed. Chapter 514, Registration Closed. But why? Crossing his hands behind his back, Grand Secretary Feng looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. Priest Wu also frowned. Kiddo, of course you may pass the written exam, but without any cultivation ability, how are you going to deal with the physical tryout? Must one have spiritual essence to pass the physical tryout? Feng Wu said lightly. How are you going to fight the others if you don't have it? Everyone was shocked by her reaction. I can still defeat them, with or without spiritual essence, Feng Wu said proudly. No, you can't. You need to be a level 9 spiritual master to apply to Imperial College, but you... Priest Wu shook his head. You aren't even a level 1 spiritual master. How are you even going to register? Without registering, she wouldn't qualify to take the exam. Both Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Feng smiled wryly and thought that the girl was dreaming. However, Feng Wu put her hands behind her back and grinned. If I remember correctly, Imperial College has a board of elders. If I have recommendations from 3 board members, they can make an exception and let me register for the exam. There is indeed such a rule, but it hasn't been used in years. Priest Wu gave her a wry smile. That's because any normal person would only try to take the exam after they become a level 9 spiritual master, or even after becoming a spiritual grandmaster. Otherwise, they're sure to fail the physical tryout. As for Feng Wu, she wasn't even a level 1 spiritual master, let alone at level 7 or 8. How was she going to make it? Both Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu looked at Feng Wu in resignation. Feng Wu looked back at them. Are you not going to give me recommendations? The last thing Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu wanted was to upset the girl. Especially Priest Wu, who said in a hurry, "Of course we can do that. It's just a letter. A piece of cake." Hearing Priest Wu make his promise, Grand Secretary Feng snapped. Between the both of us, she can only get 2 letters. She needs 1 more if she wants to get that exemption. It wouldn't be difficult to find an elder to recommend a level 9 or even level 8 cultivator. However, Feng Wu was a useless girl with no spiritual essence. The more they thought about it, the more inconceivable they found the idea. Priest Wu scratched his head. Well, that is indeed a problem. I know where to get that 3rd recommendation letter. Feng Wu smiled. Where? Priest Wu was amazed. Don't tell me you know someone from the Education Commission. Feng Wu said casually. I know one of the members. Priest Wu was baffled. Will he lie for you and write that recommendation letter? Feng Wu said, he will. On second thought, Priest Wu realized that the girl was a Grandmaster level formation master, and he and Old Feng were already convinced. It wasn't unimaginable that she would be able to convince yet another person. Right. What is the registration deadline for Imperial College again? Priest Wu asked all of a sudden. No one answered him for a while. Everyone had been focused on the fact that the exam started in 7 days, but no one remembered when the registration deadline was. Master Bien, who had bruises all over his face, raised his hand gingerly. Everyone turned to look at him. Master Bien darted a glance at Feng Wu, then said quietly, the registration for Imperial College is already closed. What? The others stared at Master Bien in shock. Master Bien nodded tentatively. Master, Xiaoxi is taking the exam this year as well, and I heard her talking about it the other day. Registration closed at noon today. Feng Wu frowned. It was already past noon. Even if she rushed to Imperial College at that moment, it was already too late. Chapter 515, Stop Right There. Chapter 515, Stop Right There. It was closed already. Feng Wu frowned. Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Feng exchanged looks. What do we do now? Chao Ge was exasperated. Xiao Wu, registration is closed. What are you going to do now? Feng Wu had announced that she was applying for Imperial College, but she had just lost the chance. That was so embarrassing. Feng Wu was also worried. She wouldn't be able to obtain that broken star piece if she didn't get into Imperial College. And without the piece, her beautiful master would never wake up. Therefore, she had to enroll this year, even if it meant that she had to use special means to get in. Hence, Feng Wu kept her gaze on Grand Secretary Feng. You must have a way for me to register. Am I right? Grand Secretary Feng thought for a moment, frowned, and looked at Priest Wu. I think we could try to talk about it with Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu was the principal of Imperial College. What are we waiting for? Let's go. Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Feng decided to go to Mr. Liu. Feng Wu said, I'm coming with you. Grand Secretary Feng shook his head. Kiddo, take it easy. Maybe we can still work something out. Go back home and wait for our news. After that, Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu left together. Meanwhile, Master Bien gave Feng Wu an indecipherable look. After everything the girl had put him through, it was finally her turn. Ha ha ha. However, Master Bien was only bold enough to laugh inwardly as he trembled all over from suppressing his laughter. He then turned to leave, so that Feng Wu wouldn't notice his glee. Actually, you can go to Boss June, he reminded Feng Wu when he walked past her. He left before Feng Wu could reply. Boss June. Feng Wu had yet to respond when Chao Ge asked the question bewilderedly. Was referring to June Linyuan? Feng Wu nodded. Yup, really. Chao Ge frowned. rested her hands on her waist, and flared up. "What's wrong with that Xian?" asked the Crown Prince for help. "That guy detests you. Helping you is the last thing he'll ever do. He would have helped you back then if he wanted to. But what did he do? He canceled the engagement and let them banish you to northern border city." The more Chowga thought about it, the angrier she became. She stomped her foot and yelled after Xian. "You! Stop right there!" Xian stopped. Chowga rushed to his side and shouted furiously, "Why did you say that?" "Huh?" Xian frowned at Chowga. Chowga jabbed his chest with a finger. "You know perfectly well how much the Crown Prince dislikes Xiao Wu, and you still told her to go to that guy. She's just asking to be humiliated if she did that. Why are you so mean?" Xian Yi's eyes flickered and his face turned grim. "Why are you trying to set Xiao Wu up? How can anyone be this vile?" Chowga was so pissed. Xian had to take a deep breath and stop himself from losing his temper. He then cast a stern look at Feng Wu. Feng Wu pulled Chowga away. "Forget about it. You can't beat him." Chowga was rendered speechless. Xian frowned. Boss Jun treated no one else like he did Feng Wu. But why did everyone think that Boss Jun was so mean to her? And it seemed that even Feng Wu herself thought that way. If he didn't do anything about that misunderstanding. At that thought, Xian turned to leave. "Hey, you! Stop right there!" Chowga shouted after Xian but Xian ignored her. Before long, he arrived at the Crown Prince's residence. Chapter 516, Jun Linyuan the Proud. Chapter 516, Jun Linyuan the Proud. Xian entered the residence and found Jun Linyuan in the martial arts hall. At the moment, the Crown Prince had just finished practice and was sipping tea by the pond. Seeing Xian, Jun Linyuan raised an eyebrow and gestured at the other boy to take a seat. "I met Feng Wu today." Xian got straight to the point. The casual look on Jun Linyuan's face faded a little, but he quickly covered it up. "Did you?" As if he couldn't care less. Xian still hadn't figured out how Jun Linyuan really felt about Feng Wu, and he thought that he could use this chance to carefully observe the Crown Prince. After all, Boss Jun's attitude toward Feng Wu determined how the others should treat her in the future. "That's right. I met her at my grandfather's place." Xian glanced at Jun Linyuan unhurriedly. The Crown Prince took a sip of his tea, nodded, then frowned. Why did Xian stop? Xian smiled a little and pretended to mention in passing, "I was really surprised when I saw her. I didn't know she's such an amazing formation master." Keeping his face straight, Jun Linyuan snorted. Priest Wu and Master Bian were both there, but Master Bian almost cried after what Feng Wu put him through. "Ha ha! Of course. His Xiao Wu was the best." The Crown Prince played with his porcelain teacup and secretly rejoiced. However, he only snorted again. Seeing Jun Linyuan's expressionless face, Xian changed the subject. "By the way, I haven't seen Feng Sun in a while. I wonder how's he doing?" Jun Linyuan looked displeased. From Feng Sun, Xian moved on to cultivation, then to the current situation in the Empire, then to the philosophy of life. He noticed Jun Linyuan's face darken and look very impatient. What more did Xian need to know? The Crown Prince was in love with Feng Wu. The only problem was that he didn't seem to realize it himself. Agitated, Jun Linyuan was on the verge of kicking over his table when Xian changed the subject back in time. "My grandfather invited Old Man Wu over to appraise this whistling vase, and Old Man Wu couldn't stop saying good things about it." Master Bian's face practically turned green. Xiao Wu happened to be outside. Xian then told Jun Linyuan about everything that happened in the Fong Manor. A tiny smile emerged on Jun Linyuan's face as he listened. Xian had his own agenda, and he had been looking closely at Jun Linyuan's facial expressions the entire time. By now, everything was so obvious. When Priest Wu found out that it was Xiao Wu who made that whistling vase, he wouldn't believe it. "Do you know what happened after that?" Jun Linyuan said arrogantly. "How am I supposed to know? Just tell me." Xiao Wu said. Xiao Wu then used just a bit of time to upgrade that master-level formation to a grandmaster level one. That shut them up right away, and they were so shocked. It was incredible. The Crown Prince snorted proudly. Of course that girl was the best. Any woman Jun Linyuan liked had to be the best. Xian Yi was rendered speechless by the proud look on Boss Jun's face. However, he didn't let his surprise show and only went on talking. It turns out that Xiao Wu wants to apply for Imperial College. Jun Linyuan was very pleased. So, the girl was following his order. But Xian Yi paused and frowned. Registration for the entrance exam to Imperial College already closed at noon today. Chapter 517, Imperial College. Chapter 517, Imperial College. Jun Linyuan frowned. Xian Yi said, "Those two elderly men like Xiao Wu so much that they've gone to Imperial College, saying that they were going to talk to Mr. Liu, the head." Xian Yi then darted a look at Jun Linyuan. The Crown Prince didn't reply. Xian Yi then said in a casual tone, "Mr. Liu isn't someone who is easily persuaded. So, I don't think Xiao Wu can make it this time." Staring at Xian Yi, Jun Linyuan said with a darkened face, "Xiao Wu, are you that familiar with her?" He then rose to his feet. Xian Yi was speechless. Was he seriously going to get angry over such a petty matter? Xian Yi stood up in a hurry. "No, I'm not familiar with her at all. I only call her that because Feng Sun does." "Ha ha ha. Poor Feng Sun. That came out of nowhere." Jun Linyuan snorted. Xian Yi went on, "I don't think Mr. Liu will agree. So Feng Wu won't be able to take the exam this year, I think." Crossing his hands behind his back, Jun Linyuan stared at Xian Yi in a haughty manner. "Do you have nothing better to do? Why are you talking about her all the time? I don't want to listen to it anymore." Xian Yi took a deep breath. His Royal Highness was really. He then glanced at Feng, who returned his glance with a look of resignation. Xian Yi's mouth fell open. After Xian Yi left in resignation, Jun Linyuan remained by the pond. Watching the koi fish swim about in the pond, Jun Linyuan opened his right palm and his fair, slender fingers glistened in the sunlight. For the first time in his life, Feng didn't react in time. He looked at the Crown Prince in bewilderment as it racked his brain. Jun Linyuan frowned. Only then did Feng realize what his master wanted. He then handed the latter a bag of fish food. Meanwhile, he was having a hard time believing it. After all these years after the pond was built, this was the first time the Crown Prince had bothered to feed the fish. Jun Linyuan smiled as he sprinkled the fish food in the water. He then said something to Feng. The corner of Feng's mouth twitched. It was as if the Crown Prince couldn't let a day pass without upsetting Miss Feng Wu at least once. At the same time, Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu still weren't back from Imperial College. In the Feng manner, "Xiao Wu, do you think Grand Secretary Feng will succeed?" Feng Wu waited patiently, but Xiaoga couldn't stop walking around the room. "Mr. Liu will agree to Grand Secretary Feng's request, won't he? And there's Priest Wu, too." Feng Wu had no idea what was going to happen. Somehow, she had a bad feeling about it. She couldn't sit still anymore. "Come, let's go to Imperial College to have a look ourselves." "All right," Xiaoga agreed without hesitation. Imperial College was in the northern suburbs of the imperial capital. It was an unbelievably vast building complex. The college alone took up a quarter of the imperial capital. The magnificent building was covered in a dense layer of spiritual essence, and one felt like sitting down to cultivate as soon as they approached the building. This is a perfect place for cultivation. Xiaoga was pleasantly surprised. "Xiao Wu, I think I'm ready to break through again." Imperial College was indeed as incredible as it was said to be. Even the air was filled with spiritual energy and something ancient, which could calm one's mind without knowing it. Wait, Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. She had a vague feeling of being drawn to a secret power inside the college, which seemed to make her blood boil in excitement. How strange. Exactly what was that power? Something then stirred inside Feng Wu. Like Xiaoga, Feng Wu felt like she could break through as well. Feng Wu made up her mind that she had to get into Imperial College, even if it was just for that mysterious power alone. Imperial College had an open day every week, and today just happened to be one of those days. While Feng Wu and Xiaoge were. Chapter 5:18 Confrontation. Chapter 5:18 Confrontation. As Feng Wu and Xiaoge walked into Imperial College, the effect of that dense spiritual essence grew more obvious. I could totally sit down right now and make a breakthrough, Xiaoge said in excitement. So, they had to get into this Imperial College. It would do wonders for their cultivation. What? Just then, a cold voice rang out. Feng Wu, what are you doing here in Imperial College? It was an angry, hostile voice. Turning around, Feng Wu saw Feng Sang, who was glaring at her with a grim face. Feng Sang. Of course, Feng Wu recognized her cousin right away. Feng Sang had two friends with her, and both eyed Feng Wu curiously. Feng Wu turned around, and the look in Feng Sang's eyes grew more ferocious. Imperial College isn't a place you can just enter casually. I don't have time for this. Get out. Now. She sounded extremely impatient and malicious. Feng Wu almost rolled her eyes. The two girls with Feng Sang asked her in a whisper, "Who's she? Is there bad blood between the both of you?" One of them said, Sang, you're never this irritable. Who is she? What has she done? The two girls were Guan Jing and Tao Yu. Feng Sang said in a cold, contemptuous voice, "Who else? My incredible fifth sister, of course." Fifth sister? As in Feng Wu. Both Guan Jing and Tao Yu were from the imperial capital and knew all about the girl prodigy in Feng Sang's family. I see. Guan Jing looked enlightened. So that's her. That cripple, Feng Wu. Tao Yu gloated. Didn't His Royal Highness cancel his engagement to her? Feng Sang's face was livid, and she glowered at Feng Wu. You're a shame to our family. How dare you show up here? Get the hell out. Feng Wu had yet to reply, but Xiaoge wouldn't have it. To Xiaoge, Feng Wu was the cleverest and the most incredible person in the world. Even Jun Lin Yuan couldn't match her in talent. Hey, resting her hands on her waist, Xiaoge glared at Feng Sang. Who the hell are you? Don't flatter yourself. We're not here for you. Not everything in this world is about you. Feng Sang had always been a proud person, and she was furious at that comment. And who might you be? Feng Sang snapped. I'm Duan Xiaoge. Remember that name. Xiaoge jabbed Feng Sang's shoulder with a finger. Disrespect Xiao Wu like that again, and I'll kill you. Wow, I'm so scared. Infuriated, Feng Sang rolled her eyes. So it's you, Duan Xiaoge. Feng Sang snorted. Weren't you the one who followed Feng Wu around all the time? You're an idiot. I see why you were with her when she was a genius, but she's useless now. You have to be an imbecile to stick with her. Smack. Feng Wu smacked Feng Sang hard. Shut your mouth. Feng Sang. Pressing a palm to her swollen left cheek, Feng Sang said in disbelief, You hit me. Feng Wu, how dare you hit me? How dare a good-for-nothing hitter? However, when Feng Sang met Feng Wu's gaze and saw eyes as black as an abyss, somehow, a chill ran down Feng Sang's spine. Because this was taking place on a main road, it soon caught the attention of a lot of passers-by. Chapter 519. You people know nothing. Chapter 519. You people know nothing. Just then, someone else interjected. Why, isn't that Feng Sang? Did someone hit her? OMG, that girl is stunning. Who is she? Feng Sang, who's the girl? Yes, tell us. Who is she? That was what the female students were thinking when they spotted Feng Wu, who made them feel jealous despite themselves. Whereas the guys had different thoughts. I can't believe a girl can be this beautiful. Is she one of our students? She can't be, otherwise I would have spotted her a long time ago. She looks amazing. She's exactly what my dream girl looks like. Feng Sang seems to know her. That's it. She's the one. Everyone fall back. People kept gathering around them, making for a boisterous scene. All eyes were on Feng Wu, with some gazes envious, some begrudging, some amazed, and some fascinated. After being slapped by Feng Wu and now surrounded by all these onlookers, The sensitive Feng Sang almost passed out with fury. Feng Wu, I'm gonna kill you. With that, she drew a soft sword from around her waist. Thud. Once she injected her spiritual essence into the weapon, the blade straightened and turned as hard as a cast iron sword. While everyone was still watching, Feng Sang charged at Feng Wu, directing the sword at the point between Feng Wu's eyebrows. Chao flared up. However, Feng Wu only stood there with a taunting smile on her face. She was already a level 3 spiritual grandmaster. Did Feng Sang actually think she could beat Feng Wu? How silly. Almost all the onlookers here were freshmen, and Feng Wu could beat any one of them without breaking a sweat. The sword had almost reached Feng Wu when Chao ran out and shielded Feng Wu with her own body. Feng Sang, what are you doing? Feng Sang, put the sword down. Have you forgotten the school rule? No fighting is allowed in Imperial College unless it's in the battle arena. All the guys were displeased to see Feng Sang frenziedly attack Feng Wu with a sword. They immediately rushed out, shielding Feng Wu behind them and reprimanding Feng Sang harshly. It would have been fine if it was only one of them, but there were so many. Feng Sang was almost in tears. A lot of these boys had courted Feng Sang before, but now they were all on Feng Wu's side, just because Feng Wu was prettier than she was. Feng Sang was so angry. Get out of my way, Feng Sang yelled. Forgetting herself like this wasn't Feng Sang's usual style at all. However, after what Chao said and having been slapped by Feng Wu, Feng Sang completely lost control when she saw how the guys treated Feng Wu differently. Feng Sang, what are you doing? Rong Shixin glared at Feng Sang. Why can't you be civil and talk it over? What's with the sword? This is unacceptable. Si Yuan was the president of the student union for the first years, and he was in charge of all his peers. Right now, he was glowering at Feng Sang as well. You're way out of line. She's younger and less advanced in cultivation than you, but that doesn't give you the right to bully her like this. Drop the sword now. All the other guys threw dirty looks at Feng Sang as well. Feng Sang almost passed out from fury. Eyes bloodshot red. She yelled, "You people know nothing. Get out of my way. Do you have any idea who she is? She's Feng Wu." Feng Wu? Who was that? After all, it had been 5 years, and not everyone had that long a memory. Chapter 520. Yes, we're on her side. Chapter 520. Yes, we're on her side. However, enough people could still remember. Feng Wu? As in that prodigy Feng Wu? Isn't she dead? No, I heard that she's still alive, but her clan banished her to their hometown. Is she the one whose engagement to His Royal Highness was cancelled? So that's who she is. All eyes were on Feng Wu, and everyone was talking. Feng Sang looked very pleased. She knew it. As soon as she revealed Feng Wu's history, everyone would laugh at her. No one would take Feng Wu's side anymore. Feng Sang pointed her sword at Feng Wu. Feng Wu, kneel and apologize to me now, or I'll kill you this instant. Crossing her hands behind her back, Feng Wu looked at Feng Sang with her calm, bright eyes. The look she gave Feng Sang made the latter feel like a pathetic clown. Feng Sang knew perfectly well what that contemptuous look meant, which was why she was so pissed. Fine, fine, suit yourself. Feng Wu, you had it coming. Don't blame me. With those words, Feng Sang came at Feng Wu with a sword. However, at that moment, Rong Shixin caught Feng Sang by her wrist. Si Yuan blocked her way and fixed his cold gaze on her. Most of the other guys glared at Feng Sang as well. Feng Sang was utterly baffled. Hadn't she told them about Feng Wu's past? Shouldn't these people be sneering at Feng Wu now? What was going on here? Rong Shixin was displeased. Feng Sang, I finally see what kind of person you really are. Rong Shixin ground his teeth. Your sister lost her cultivation ability, which was so unfortunate for her. Not only didn't you show any sympathy or look out for her, you revealed the saddest thing that happened to her in front of so many people, putting her wound out there for all to see. You're despicable. Feng Sang was speechless. What? Si Yuan stared at Feng Sang as well. Feng Sang, I'd always attributed your aloof behavior to the fact that you're above worldly considerations and that you're as pure and elegant as a white lotus. There was a time that I actually admired you. I never thought that you could be this cruel and evil. I guess I judged poorly. Taking a fancy to you was the worst decision I ever made. What? Feng sang almost at a stroke. Si Yuan was the most talented and capable student of all the first years. Even Mr. Liu had received Si Yuan himself. So many girls were infatuated with Si Yuan, and even Feng Sang had a secret crush on him. However, Si Yuan had just said those words to her. Feng Sang thought she was going to explode. She pointed the sword at Feng Wu. You, I'm going to kill you. I will. Si Yuan waved his hand, and Feng Sang stumbled back, then fell to the ground. Si Yuan then turned to Feng Wu and cupped his fists. Miss Feng Wu, nice to meet you. My name is Si Yuan. Please remember that name. He gave Feng Wu a nod, then left. Feng Wu was baffled. Hello, why should I remember your name? What's wrong with that guy? Rong Shixin was much more enthusiastic. So you're Feng Wu. Hello, I'm Rong Shixin. You can call me Xiao Xian. Can I call you Xiao Wu? That naturally sociable manner reminded Feng Wu of Feng Sun. She shook her head and said indifferently, I don't think so. The others burst out laughing. Rong Shixin rubbed his nose. He was from a good family. His father was a lord and a third-ranked official, which made him a respected member of the younger generation. Chapter 521, Preposterous. Chapter 521, Preposterous. After he got into Imperial College, he had become even more popular. However, Feng Wu had just turned him down outright. But Rong Shixin believed that Feng Wu was only playing hard to get. Girls like her were so much fun to court, weren't they? Feng Wu frowned at the hubbub. She took Xiaoga's hand, then turned to leave. Xiao Wu, Rong Shixin ran after her. Feng Wu cast a stern look at him. Rong Shixin felt as if he had been stabbed in the heart. He got the creeps, and he stumbled back involuntarily. That was strange. Hadn't Feng Wu lost all her cultivation ability? Why was she so scary? Feng Wu, what are you doing here in Imperial College? Are you here to hit on guys? Feng Sang's voice rang out behind them. Guan Jing chuckled. Is she here to tour the school? She won't be able to enroll anyway, so why not use the open day to enjoy the view? Many of the girls snickered at those words. They looked at Feng Wu in such a condescending manner. So what if she had once been a genius? She was completely useless now. She wasn't even qualified to take the exam, let alone become a student of Imperial College. If I recall correctly, our school is recruiting new students in a few days, right? That's right. You have to be a level 9 spiritual master at least to take the exam. Too bad that some people don't even meet that. All they can do is lure guys in with that pretty face. Ha ha. Now I know why Feng Wu is here. Why is that? Because since she can't get into Imperial College herself, she has to depend on that pretty face. She's going to find a rich husband here, isn't she? Ha ha. Many girls laughed upon hearing those words. Feng Wu was so beautiful that the guys couldn't help but take her side. As a result, many girls turned Feng Wu into their imaginary enemy. Rong Shixin, you're just one of the potential money bags she's digging into. Ha ha ha. Rong Shixin, wake up. She's casting her net all over the place. Rong Shixin, are you seriously going to take a useless girl back home? That's just humiliating. Rong Shixin's face turned livid. Exasperated, Xiaoga rested her hands on her waist as tears welled up in her eyes. Shut up. Xiao Wu can't get into Imperial College. Says who? We're here today to register. Wow. A hush fell over the crowd at those words. Everyone gave Xiaoga strange looks. Feng Sang rubbed her ears. What did you say? Sticking out her chest, Xiaoga said righteously. I said Xiao Wu is here to register for Imperial College's entrance exam. And she's not the only one. I'm going to take the exam as well. Ha ha. Oh God, that's hilarious. My tummy aches help. Ha. I'm cracking up here. That has to be the funniest thing I've ever heard. Many girls laughed until their stomachs ached. Oh God, a useless girl without so much as a streak of spiritual essence was going to take the exam. As for that silly girl Xiaoga, she was a level 7 at best. How dare she talk about taking the exam as well? That was preposterous. Rong Shirshin also looked at Chowga strangely. You. Chapter 522. There's one possibility. Chapter 522. There's one possibility. Chowga was furious. What was wrong with these people? She and Feng Wu were here just to register for the entrance exam. Xiao Wu was so smart and brilliant that she could surpass them without breaking a sweat. Where did their sense of superiority come from? And what made them think that they could laugh at Xiao Wu like this? That pissed Chowga off. She made up her mind that she would become an excellent cultivator. One day, she would be strong enough to sneer at all those people who used to laugh at Xiao Wu. Ha ha, just look at that butterball. She's cross. She looks so funny with her cheeks puffed up. Ha ha ha, are you seeing this? The butterball wants to kill us with her eyes. Oh my, I think the butterball wants to fight us to death. By butterball, they were obviously referring to Chowga. All those butterballs infuriated Chowga. No teenage girl would want such a nickname, especially one that used to be so pretty. Tears welled up in her eyes, and her back looked both stubborn and sad. Feng Wu's hand landed on her shoulder. Chowga turned around with red-rimmed eyes. Silly girl. Feng Wu rubbed her head. You'll soon be as fit as you were. I promise. Chowga beamed at Feng Wu with tears in her eyes. Wiping away her tears, Chego looked up at Feng Wu, whom she trusted, and nodded with a smile. Yes. However, Rong Shirshin was looking at Feng Wu in a sympathetic way. Are you really going to register for the exam? Yes. Feng Wu nodded. Rong Shirshin didn't know what to say. Guanjing snickered all of a sudden. What? Correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't registration closed already? That's right. It closed at noon, didn't it? It's already the afternoon now, ha 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 ha. Many gave Feng Wu funny looks. Some even sneered. If you're really going to find an excuse, at least find a plausible one. How are you going to register when the deadline has already passed? Well, maybe she really is here to do that. Don't be so harsh. Guanjing said, she really is here to do that? Don't make me laugh. One is a level 7 at most, and the other has no cultivation ability whatsoever. You're telling me that they're here to register for the exam? Guanjing went on. There's one possibility, though. What's that? Guanjing said. I heard that the school has a special rule. If a person can get recommendation letters from 3 members of the Board of Education, they can be treated as an exceptional case and be registered. Ha ha. Many onlookers laughed until they were in tears. Those 2 get letters from the big shots? And 3 of them? You gotta be kidding me. No way. No one was going to believe that. Chowga trembled with fury. You snobs. 2 of the big guys already gave us letters, and we'll get the 3rd one. However, the others only guffawed. Feng Wu shook her head and tugged at Chowga. Let's go. There is nothing more to say to these people. Feng Wu then led Chowga toward the president's office. Many were looking forward to making fun of her. Look, ha! Feng Wu is going to the president's office. Guanjing said, well, after what she said, she can't just leave, right? The least she can do is make a show of it. Where else can she go if not the president's office? Ha ha ha. Chapter 523. The President of Imperial College. Chapter 523. The President of Imperial College. The Principal's Office. Every day, Mr. Liu would recline on a chaise lounge for some rest after he was done with his cultivation. A young servant gingerly entered the room and whispered something in Mr. Liu's ear. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu were here together. Weren't those 2 fighting all the time? He wondered what the fight was about this time. Rubbing his forehead, Mr. Liu smiled wryly. It seemed that he wasn't going to get that rest this evening after all. Please show them in. Mr. Liu gave a wave of his hand. Before long, Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu walked in together. Old Liu, there you are. Good. Grand Secretary Fong greeted the president with those words. Priest Wu looked delighted as well. Hi, Old Liu. Here, sit with me and let's talk. Huh? Mr. Liu found this very unusual. Weren't these 2 at each other's throats all the time? Especially the proud Grand Secretary Fong, who looked down on Priest Wu for not being professionally trained. Whereas Priest Wu had a short temper and despised those that thought highly of themselves. Hence, these two people would start a cockfight whenever they ran into each other, which was such a pain in the neck. However, they didn't seem to be fighting at all today. Mr. Liu looked at the two of them in bewilderment. Priest Wu pulled Mr. Liu near, then sat the latter down at the table. "There, old Liu. Take a seat first." That gave Mr. Liu the creeps. On the other side, Grand Secretary Fong laid a piece of paper in front of him and rubbed an ink stick on an inkstone himself. Mr. Liu was astonished. Was this an illusion? Grand Secretary Fong was such a proud figure that his most common posture was his hands crossed behind his back and his chin raised. Even Mr. Liu himself wasn't treated much differently from everyone else. But now, the old man had laid out a piece of paper for him, and he was even preparing the ink. What was more, Grand Secretary Fong even dipped the writing brush in the ink, then handed it to Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu didn't know how to react. What on earth is going on here? He was so flustered. Priest Wu said, "We ran into a girl recently, and she has an amazing gift for formations. But cultivation-wise, she's a little bit behind, and she wants to become a student of Imperial College." Mr. Liu gave him a wry smile. Let her apply for the formation department, then. He didn't understand what was bothering these two. Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong both gave Mr. Liu woeful looks. What? Those expressions made Mr. Liu rather jumpy. Priest Wu said with a long face, "We wouldn't have come here if she could apply for the formation department." Grand Secretary Fong sighed. "To be honest, what more can we teach her there?" Priest Wu sighed along with him. "The girl is as good as either of us in formations. How are we supposed to teach her when she gets in?" Mr. Liu's eyes lit up. They had found such a promising student. He was instantly intrigued. For Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong had never recommended anyone before. This time, however, they couldn't stop praising this girl and were doing things that were so out of character for them. Mr. Liu was so curious. And the girl wants to get into the martial arts department. Both Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong gave Mr. Liu woeful looks. "Take the exam, then." Mr. Liu shrugged. "What's wrong with that? If she passes the exam, she can get in." Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong exchanged looks, and Priest Wu said in the end, "The girl wanted to, but what? But she's not as strong in all the subjects. Her cultivation level is a little..." Chapter 524, I Need to See Her. Chapter 524, I Need to See Her. Not as strong? You mean that she hasn't reached level 9 yet? Yes. That shouldn't be a problem. Mr. Liu waved his hand matter-of-factly. Real talent is hard to come by. Don't we have an exemption rule here in Imperial College? As long as 3 members of the Education Board. He stopped abruptly and looked from Grand Secretary Fong to Priest Wu. And those two nodded back at him. Mr. Liu said, "That's why you've been fawning on me the whole time. You're here for that letter." Priest Wu chuckled. "Brother Liu, Boss Liu, it's like you said. She has real talent, and that's so hard to come by. You also said she's not as strong in all subjects." Mr. Liu was disgruntled. "Exactly how weak is she in the other subjects that you two have to go this far?" Mr. Liu couldn't understand. Both old men were valuable assets of the Empire. One was usually arrogant, and the other irascible, and both were equally stubborn. It was amazing to see them work as a team to ingratiate themselves with Mr. Liu. Well, both old men were embarrassed to bring up the subject and looked at one another. Mr. Liu rubbed his chin. If her performance is so lopsided and her formation skills so amazing, it has to be her cultivation level that's not as advanced. How bad? Level 9? Both old men shook their heads. Level 8. They shook their heads again. Level 7. Still shaking. Level 6. The look on Mr. Liu's face began to change. Both old men remained silent. "Don't tell me that she's only a level 5. Mr. Liu jumped to his feet. That wasn't lopsided, but was completely... "No," Priest Wu said gingerly after glancing at Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu asked, "So what level is she?" He had lost all hope after hearing that she wasn't even a level 5. She has none. Grand Secretary Fong scratched his head awkwardly. Mr. Liu burst into laughter. Ha ha, you two are really— Have you come all this way just to tell me a joke? None? That makes her an ordinary non-cultivator. You. Seeing the looks on Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu's faces, Mr. Liu stopped short. You're telling the truth. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu smiled at him in embarrassment. Mr. Liu made a last-ditch attempt. If her spiritual essence hasn't been activated, Priest Wu smiled bitterly. To be more precise, the girl lost all her cultivation ability. She has no spiritual essence at all. Mr. Liu was speechless. To have lost her cultivation ability was worse than to have unactivated spiritual essence. He sat back down, leaned back in his chair, and became very quiet. He sat up all of a sudden, stared at the other two, and said in a solemn tone, "You do realize that spiritual essence is fundamental to formations? Without it, the girl won't be able to get too far in the study of formations." Priest Wu and Grand Secretary Fong exchanged looks, and both smiled bitterly. Old Liu, how much further do you want her formation skills to go? At her current level, the things she has shown us are already as advanced as what we can do. And these two old men were top formation masters in all of the Empire. Mr. Liu rubbed his chin. It's not that I don't believe you, but at least I need to see her first. Chapter 525, Mr. Principal. Chapter 525, Mr. Principal. I'm sure you'll like her. Priest Wu said cheerfully. Mr. Liu snorted. Not necessarily. Just as Grand Secretary Fong was about to send for Feng Wu, footsteps came from outside. The young servant entered the room and said in a low voice, "Miss Feng Wu is here." Mr. Liu threw a dirty look at Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu. "I see you came prepared." Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu rubbed their chins. They had told Xiao Wu to stay behind, but she had still come. However, the timing was perfect. Feng Wu walked in with Chaoga. Mr. Liu stared at Feng Wu with eyes as cold and deep as a dark abyss. It was rather terrifying. Chaoga shuddered and hid behind Feng Wu. However, Feng Wu had kept her composure since entering the room. She was graceful, undisturbed, and completely unaffected by Mr. Liu's aura. Mr. Liu looked confused. Why did this girl look familiar? "And you are?" "Mr. Liu, my name is Feng Wu," Feng Wu replied. Chaoga shuddered, then followed suit. "I'm Duan Chaoga." This man was the head of Imperial College, whose superiority was second only to the Emperor. Even Chaoga's grandfather couldn't get an audience with this man. Chaoga was so excited. Mr. Liu was rather surprised. Wasn't the girl afraid of him at all? Priest Wu said in a hurry, "She's the one. She's as advanced in her formation skills as one can be, but her cultivation level is not as satisfying." Mr. Liu darted a look at Priest Wu. Not as satisfying? She couldn't cultivate at all. Mr. Liu frowned. Grand Secretary Fong said, "Once Xiao Wu is admitted into Imperial College, she can always go to the formation department if the martial arts department won't have her." Mr. Liu waved Grand Secretary Fong off and kept his gaze on Feng Wu. "Feng Wu, where have I heard that name before?" "That's it. You're the Feng Wu." Mr. Liu looked shocked. How could he not know that name? Feng Wu used to be a prodigy, second only to Jun Lin Yuan, and was a figure that had amazed everyone. She had only been 8 back then, but Mr. Liu had already wished to take her in as a student of Imperial College so that he could teach her himself and prevent her from going astray or bringing harm to herself. He never thought that the next time they met would be 5 years later. "Yes, I'm that Feng Wu." Feng Wu smiled. When Mr. Liu looked at Feng Wu again, he felt very sorry for her. That amazing girl had become a good-for-nothing. It pained him to think about it. Mr. Liu shook his head and heaved a long sigh. "Kiddo, you have no cultivation ability, which means that the martial arts department isn't the right place for you," Mr. Liu said sincerely. "You should choose the formation department. You'll do wonderfully there." Even Mr. Liu had to admire Feng Wu's capability. When a door shut, God opened a window for her, and she was as much a genius as before. Mr. Lu felt so sorry for the girl. The Empire had lost more than just a great potential warrior. Mr. Lu couldn't bring himself to see Feng Wu this way. He gave a wave of his hand. Please leave. He wouldn't let Feng Wu enroll in the martial arts department. For one, it would pain him so much to see the once genius girl become an ordinary person. For another, Feng Wu wouldn't be able to take it when she saw all her peers make progress when she couldn't. Chapter 526, ha ha ha. Chapter 526, ha ha. For those two reasons, Mr. Lu turned Feng Wu down before she had a chance to speak. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu were shocked. How could that be? Mr. Lu, Mr. Lu. Both old men cried out in unison. Would Mr. Lu ignore their request outright? Mr. Lu was very straightforward. She isn't an ideal choice for the martial arts department, nor for Imperial College. Therefore, no. Once Mr. Lu put it that way, there was nothing more Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu could say. They turned to Feng Wu and sighed. Xiao Wu, it's out of our hands now. You. Feng Wu shook her head adamantly. Mr. Fong, Mr. Wu, may I have a minute alone with Mr. Lu? Mr. Lu smirked. Feng Wu, I don't care what you're going to say. I said no, and no it is. Moreover, registration has closed, and at least for this year, you've lost your chance. He practically shouted those words. He hoped that he could make Feng Wu see some sense that way. However, what he didn't know was, because of the earlier incident, many were eager to know what was going on with Feng Wu, so much so that quite a few students were lingering outside the principal's office. Among those students were Guan Jing and Rong Shixin. Guan Jing grinned when she heard the principal's words. She dashed off toward the Year 1 cultivation room. I've got news. Big news. Her voice reached the room before she did. What is it? Guan Jing, didn't you follow Feng Wu out to see how defeated she would be when she left? Has she gone already? Did she really get into the principal's office? Everyone was curious. Feng Sang was in the crowd, and she looked at Guan Jing with unblinking eyes. Guan Jing went up to Feng Sang, and only when all eyes were on her did she say in a gloating voice, I think everyone knows what Feng Wu did just then. Yes, I followed Feng Wu out just then and saw her go all the way to the principal's office. Wow, she really went there? How? Then what? Did she register? Guan Jing shushed the others with a hand gesture. A hush fell over the crowd. It turned out that Guan Jing was unable to hold back her laughter. She laughed and laughed until she trembled all over and tears streaked her cheeks. Everyone was bewildered. What on earth happened? Why was Guan Jing laughing so hard? Tell us. That's right. Stop laughing. Tell us now. You're killing me here. Guan Jing finally managed to stop laughing, and in a trembling voice, she said, Feng Wu did indeed see Mr. Lu, and Mr. Lu talked to her. What? Everyone was jealous and excited. Mr. Lu was such a superior figure that one couldn't just see him as they pleased. But Feng Wu had been granted an audience. They would be lying if they didn't admit that they were jealous. Guan Jing went on. Feng Wu did indeed see Mr. Lu. Why am I so certain? Because I heard Mr. Lu talk to her. Mr. Lu said, Feng Wu, I don't care what you're going to say. I said no, and no it is. Moreover, registration has closed, and at least for this year, you've lost your chance. Chapter 527, Old Man Ba's Letter. Chapter 527, Old Man Ba's Letter. Everyone fell silent after Guan Jing said those words. They burst into laughter right after that. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Many of them laughed so hard that they were in tears and trembled all over. Some even lay flat on their stomachs and thumped the ground with their fists. Ha 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 ha. Feng Wu so had that coming. Mr. Lu was so right. He said no, and no it is. That girl should just shut up. Registration has long closed. Did Feng Wu think that the school would bend the rules just for her? She really thinks too highly of herself. Who the hell does she think she is? Many of the girls had a biased opinion of Feng Wu to begin with and weren't able to judge objectively. They couldn't be happier to hear about Feng Wu's predicament and used all the sarcastic and contemptuous words they could think of. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu exchanged looks after Mr. Lu's announcement, and both saw resignation in each other's eyes. After all, Mr. Lu was the one who called the shots here in Imperial College. Hence, they lost all hope. Xiao Wu, Priest Wu wanted to show Feng Wu out. However, Feng Wu kept her gaze on Mr. Lu the whole time and looked completely undisturbed. The girl had the bearing of a great general. Mr. Lu, who was always looking for new talent, felt even more sorry for Feng Wu now and couldn't bring himself to look at her. Grand Secretary Fong and Priest Wu finally realized what kind of girl Feng Wu really was. She was the most stubborn girl they had ever met. When she set her mind on something, she wouldn't let her decision be affected by anyone. Well, the two old men shook their heads and left the room. Kiddo, even if you go down on your knees and plead with your tears, you won't be able to change my mind. This is my final verdict. Mr. Lu gave a disclaimer, first to exclude any possibilities. Feng Wu smiled. I'm not going to kneel, but I do have a letter for you. Mr. Lu frowned at Feng Wu. Meanwhile, Feng Wu took a thick envelope out of her chest pocket and put it on the table. That was way too thick for an ordinary letter. The frown on Mr. Lu's face grew bigger. Judging by how certain the girl looked, could she have stuffed the envelope with money? The look Mr. Lu gave Feng Wu was even more stern now. A person could be without cultivation ability, but he wouldn't stand for such despicable behavior. At that thought, Mr. Lu didn't even look at the envelope, but only stared at Feng Wu. Take it back. He really didn't like this girl now. Feng Wu looked at Mr. Lu in bewilderment. According to Old Man Ba, he and Mr. Lu had gone through hell together and were best buddies. But from the way Mr. Lu reacted to the letter, he didn't seem to know Old Man Ba at all. You really don't want to have a look. No, Mr. Lu refused her outright. Feng Wu frowned. But, not buts. Mr. Lu's face was livid. Get out. Now. He had determined that Feng Wu was here to bribe him, and he was furious. That explained her behavior. She had asked those two guys to leave first so that she could stay behind and bribe him. Feng Wu, I'm so disappointed at what you become. Get out. Get out of my sight. Mr. Lu said sternly. Feng Wu sighed and said in a sorry tone, So much for being Old Man Ba's best buddy. He told me that when you two were in Inferno City, he shielded you from sword with his own body, and he barely survived that wound. Old Man Ba, Mr. Lu asked. Chapter 528, Jun Lin Yuan. Come out. Chapter 528, Jun Lin Yuan. Come out. Old Man Ba. Mr. Lu shot up from his chair and grabbed Feng Wu by her wrist. Old Man Ba? Which Old Man Ba? Feng Wu looked at him innocently. You haven't heard of Old Man Ba? But the guy said that he was pretty well known in the Imperial capital. Was he just bragging then? You mean Ba-yi? Mr. Lu cried out in surprise. I have no idea. Old Man Ba never told us his real name. He was only Master Ba, Dr. Ba, or Miracle Ba to us. Mr. Lu was exasperated and reached out with a hand. Give me that letter. Feng Wu glanced at him unhurriedly. I thought you didn't want to read it no matter what. Mr. Lu couldn't wait any longer and snatched the letter from Feng Wu. He saw the words on the envelope. For Lu III's eyes only. Yes, that was the man's handwriting. Mr. Lu tore the envelope open in a hurry. And it was a thick stack of papers, not the money he had assumed it was. It took Mr. Lu as long as 15 minutes to finish reading the long letter. Afterwards, Mr. Lu sat dazed in his chair and was lost in thought. Chaoga stared at Mr. Lu in bewilderment, then poked Feng Wu with a finger. Xiao Wu, what's going on with Mr. Lu? He looked so sad. Stirred by Chaoga's voice, Mr. Lu looked at Feng Wu and felt as if he had woken up in another world. Little Feng Wu, did you say that you were going to apply for the martial arts department? Yes. Feng Wu nodded. Mr. Lu narrowed his eyes and looked conflicted. You do realize that insisting on getting into the martial arts department isn't going to do you any good? Mr. Lu said earnestly. Feng Wu smiled and said proudly, "I know what I'm doing." Mr. Lu nodded. Despite her young age, she gave Mr. Lu the feeling that he was talking to an adult. What was more, she was more level-headed than a lot of adults he knew. The majority of that long letter talked about how amazing Feng Wu was. She was smart, hardworking, talented, and so on. Mr. Lu almost frowned. Wasn't that a bit too exaggerated? If that's the case, well, Mr. Lu was going to grant Feng Wu her wish. Chowga almost jumped to her feet in excitement when all of a sudden, that young servant came in hastily and whispered something in Mr. Lu's ear. Mr. Lu looked confused, but rose to his feet anyway. He then turned to Feng Wu and Chowga. "Xiao Wu, how about you take your friend inside and find a book to read?" Feng Wu realized that he was receiving a distinguished guest. No problem. As soon as Feng Wu and Chowga went into the study, footsteps came from outside. "Mr. Lu." Feng Wu found that voice rather familiar. She had heard it somewhere before. Mr. Lu greeted the man with a nod. "General Chong, to what do I owe this pleasure?" General Chong, as in Chong-san, who worked for Jun Linyuan. Chong-san smiled. "Mr. Lu, you flatter me. I'm here to bring a message from His Royal Highness." "Of course." Chong-san smiled. His Royal Highness said that if a Miss Feng Wu comes here to ask for your help, please turn her down. Mr. Lu's pupils contracted, and he stared at Chong-san. As the principal of Imperial College, Mr. Lu was only below the emperor in status, and he was roughly on the same level as the crown prince. Chapter 529. Miss Feng is here? What? Chapter 529. Miss Feng is here? What? Jun Linyuan himself was a student of Imperial College, but he was giving commands to his principal now. Mr. Lu was a little displeased. Chong-san nodded. That was His Royal Highness's instruction, word for word. His Royal Highness also said that he'll owe you one. Jun Linyuan said that? Well, that was... What if I insist on doing as I please? Mr. Lu stroked his beard and said casually. Chong-san chuckled. No one has ever said no to His Royal Highness. That was apart from that fierce, untamed Miss Feng Wu, Chong-san added in his head. So, if I don't do as told, His Royal Highness is going to cause me to lose my job? Mr. Lu took a deep breath, and there was anger in his eyes. Chong-san smiled. Mr. Lu, you're overthinking it. That's all I have to say. Goodbye. Feng Wu and Chowga were right in the study, and the room wasn't exactly soundproof. Hence, they heard everything Chong-san and Mr. Lu said. Chowga flared up. As impulsive as she always was, she rushed out from behind the curtain and yelled at Chong-san. Who the hell are you? What do you mean by turning Feng Wu away? Why can't we apply for Imperial College? Why do you care? How can you do such nasty deeds behind our back? You people are despicable and nosy and evil. Chong-san stared at Chowga in disbelief. The girl had just yelled at him, and he wasn't the only one she had lashed out at. Even His Royal Highness had been insulted. Someone in this world was actually bold enough to curse the crown prince. Chong-san was too astonished to react. Chowga, on the other hand, didn't realize how shocking her words were. She shoved Chong-san hard, and the latter stumbled backward. Chong-san looked at Chowga in disbelief. Resting her hands on her waist, Chowga snapped, Stop gawking. We heard everything you said, every word of it. Oomph. Chong-san looked behind Chowga and spotted Feng Wu, who had an indecipherable look on her face. Chong-san was at a loss over what to say. No. Miss Feng Wu was here? What? The muscles in Chong-san's cheeks twitched, his mouth fell open, and his mind went blank. This fifth daughter of the Feng clan hadn't intimidated him at the beginning, for even Feng Yinfeng had to address him as General Chong. However, after Feng's reminder the other day, he would rather offend His Royal Highness than piss Miss Feng Wu off. She was untouchable. Chong-san put on a bitter face and didn't know what to do. Feng Wu kept her gaze on him as she went up to him. She then smiled casually. Your master said himself that if I came to Mr. Lu for help, I should be turned away. Feng Wu's voice was as light as a feather and very calm. However, if one looked closely enough, They would recognize the look in her eyes as the momentary peace before a storm. Chang-san was flustered. He didn't know how to answer that question, so, in a whoosh, Chang-san jumped out the window and was soon out of sight. Feng Wu was speechless. So was Chaoga. And Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu turned to Feng Wu and said in a stern voice, "Xiao Wu, it's not that I won't help you, but you heard it yourself. His Royal Highness won't leave you alone." Feng Wu gritted her teeth, and flames seemed to shoot out of her eyes as she clenched her fists. Mr. Liu smiled bitterly. "Since His Royal Highness has decided to step in, even if I write that letter for you, His Royal Highness will find some other way to interfere. He can still make it impossible for you." Chapter 530, Miss Wu is here. Chapter 530, Miss Wu is here. Chaoga was exasperated. But why? He's the crown prince, but you're the principal of Imperial College. How can he order you around? Didn't some former principal punish a crown prince once, and no harm came to him afterward? Mr. Liu smiled bitterly. "That's right. I enjoy the same status as His Royal Highness, but times have changed. This is Jun Linyuan's time. Please listen to me. The two of you, especially Xiao Wu, should pack your things and leave the Imperial capital. Kiddo, it's so obvious that the crown prince doesn't like you." Feng Wu took a deep breath and looked at Mr. Liu. "So, I can take the exam if Jun Linyuan says yes." "Of course," said Mr. Liu. "Everything will be fine if you can persuade His Royal Highness. But His Royal Highness dislikes you so much that he sent someone with that reminder. How are you going to change his mind? That's just not going to happen." Mr. Liu gave Feng Wu a sympathetic look, then heaved a sigh. Feng Wu promptly left the office, so fast that she looked like a gust of wind. She was furious. Chaoga wanted to follow Feng Wu, but the latter stopped her. "Go to General Secretary Feng and start working on the written exam. After all, we only have 7 days. Time is of the essence here." Mr. Liu didn't know what to say. Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu, who had come back in, were also speechless. Chaoga said with a long face, "Xiao Wu, we can't even register for the exam. What's the point preparing for it? It's a waste of our energy." "Says who? I'm going to take the exam, and no one is going to stop me." Feng Wu flared up. He was the one who had given her the task, and he was the one standing in her way now. "Jun Linyuan, damn you!" In the Crown Prince's residence outside the royal palace. Achoo! The Crown Prince sneezed. He rubbed his nose. Was someone talking about him? "What time is it now?" The Crown Prince was reclining on a soft couch and casually feeding the fish in the pond. "It's 6:45, replied Feng immediately. Rubbing his nose, Jun Linyuan looked up at the birds soaring in the blue sky, and he gloated. That girl wouldn't be able to run any faster after what he did to her. "Let's see how fast you'll run to me this time," the Crown Prince thought proudly. Just then, whoosh! Chang-san rushed in like a gust of wind and dropped to his knees in front of Jun Linyuan. With a long face, he said, "Your Royal Highness." Jun Linyuan frowned. "Yes, Your Royal Highness. I'm guilty of a crime which even my death cannot atone for." "Speak." Jun Linyuan was displeased by the interruption. "Your Royal Highness, I delivered the message to Mr. Liu of Imperial College as you instructed. But I didn't know that Miss Wu was in the study at the moment, and she heard everything. Your Royal Highness, I'm guilty." Chang-san was almost frightened to death. According to Feng, His Royal Highness was in love with Miss Wu, and Miss Wu wasn't to know about that message at all. But he was so dead. Chang-san felt a chilly sensation on his neck, as if he was going to lose his head at any moment. However, the Crown Prince only looked down at him with his cold, brooding eyes. "What are you guilty of?" "Huh?" Chang-san was dumbfounded. Didn't His Royal Highness like Miss Wu? Jun Linyuan smirked. "Don't tell me you think I like that stupid girl." "What?" Chang-san was even more baffled. Didn't His Royal Highness like her? Exasperated, Jun Linyuan smacked the table. Chapter 531, Jun Linyuan. Chapter 531, June Lin Yuan, you. I think she's a silly girl, and I teased her a bit. That's all. Do you seriously think I'm in love with her? Have you lost your mind? Chang San was completely at a loss. Feng Wu charged into the crown prince's residence in a fury. Had this been some other day, Feng Wu would have been stopped at the gate. However, after Granny Gong's reorganization, everyone in the residence realized Feng Wu's importance now. Even those who hadn't met Feng Wu in person made sure that they studied her portrait until they could remember her face, fearing that they might accidentally offend her and die a miserable death. Hence, when Feng Wu arrived outside the front gate of the residence, she thought that they were going to give her a hard time. As a matter of fact, she was prepared for it. However, the guard almost jumped to his feet as soon as he spotted Feng Wu. Miss Wu is here. Quickly, you people move. Go tell Mr. Feng and Granny Gong and everyone in the residence. Red alert. The news seemed to take flight and traveled to all corners of the residence in no time. At that moment, Granny Gong was working in the residence with dozens of maids, and she was telling them off. It was rather intense, and no one dared go near them. Those getting excoriated were the same ones that used to work under Granny Yu. The guard rushed into the courtyard at that moment and whispered something to Granny Gong's maid. The young maid was called Xiang Sao, and her eyes lit up as soon as she heard the news. She decided that it couldn't be delayed further, so she quickly went up to Granny Gong and whispered into her ear. Miss Wu is here. Granny Gong, who had looked so stern only seconds ago, smiled wholeheartedly. She forgot about those maids right away and hurried off. Where's Miss Wu? Have you welcomed her in? Is tea ready? What about the clean towel for her to clean her hands? And Granny Gong ran so fast that Xiang Sao had a hard time catching up with her. Outside, Feng Wu stood there, bewildered, as the guard disappeared into the house. Did she have that terrifying face? Feng Wu had yet to figure out what was going on when Granny Gong rushed out. Oh my, Miss Wu, it's you. Come in, come in. You're such a rare guest. We're so glad to see you here. Here's a warm towel for you to clean your hands. And please have some fragrant pine tea. Granny Gong couldn't be any more enthusiastic and hospitable. As the saying went, don't slap a smiling face. After seeing Granny Gong's benevolent countenance and enjoying her considerate hospitality, Feng Wu was greatly appeased. Where's June Lin Yuan? Feng Wu took a deep breath. Granny Gong was great at reading faces. One look at Feng Wu's face, and she knew that Miss Wu was mad. Moreover, it had to be something to do with His Royal Highness. Recalling how proud His Royal Highness was and how unbending Miss Wu could be, Granny Gong felt at her wit's end. Granny Gong said, His Royal Highness is by the pond. How about I can get there myself? Feng Wu then headed straight for the pond, while Granny Gong followed her closely. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince was telling Chang San off. I think she's a silly girl, and I teased her a bit. That's all. Do you seriously think I'm in love with her? Have you lost your mind? Feng rubbed his forehead and looked up at the sky. Chang San looked from June Lin Yuan to Feng. Which one was he supposed to listen to now? June Lin Yuan, you're the one who lost his mind. Feng Wu walked out from behind a tree and glared at June Lin Yuan. Chapter 532, Slap. Chapter 532, Slap. Seeing Feng Wu's aggressive attitude, Granny Gong smacked her own forehead. Oh no! Feng shifted his gaze to her at the same time. Both of them were speechless. They knew too well what to expect. Both took a few steps back, hid themselves in the bushes, and stood there facing each other with their heads lowered. They stood very still. At the same time, June Lin Yuan looked up and saw Feng Wu charging at him. Before he could react, Feng Wu strode to his side, jumped on him, and wrapped her fingers around his neck. June Lin Yuan, do you have any idea how annoying you are? Has Chang San lost his mind? You're the one without a mind. You told me to apply for Imperial College, but you're the one stopping me from registering. What on earth do you want? Are you having fun teasing me like this? Am I your pet? Something you can play with when you're happy and kick around when you're not. June Lin Yuan thought, well, I like to kick you around even when I'm happy. The more Feng Wu thought about it, the angrier and more aggrieved she became. She wanted to throttle this damn crown prince. Jun Linyuan felt rather diffident when he saw Feng Wu lashing out like this. "Say it. What do you want?" Feng Wu straddled Jun Linyuan and tightened her grip, her cheeks flushed with her vexation. This was such a suggestive position. He could feel her soft body, and it was such a temptation. Jun Linyuan followed his instincts. He raised his head and kissed Feng Wu on the mouth. Feng Wu was astonished. Her eyes opened wide, and she stared at Jun Linyuan in disbelief. She was furious. How could this happen when she was here to get even with Jun Linyuan? This was unbelievable. Infuriated, Feng Wu pushed Jun Linyuan away and slapped him hard on the cheek. "Jun Linyuan, what's your problem?" Smack! There was the crisp sound of the slap. Feng and Granny Gong jumped at that sound. Visit on our novel full. They looked in the direction of the pond in unison. Taken by surprise, Jun Linyuan was dazed. Feng Wu released him and quickly fell back. Feng and Granny Gong were mortified. They had never expected Miss Wu to be so bold. She had slapped none other than Jun Linyuan himself. Jun Lin Yuan, the most terrifying person in the empire. Miss Wu was so. Even the calm onlookers Feng and Granny Gong were a little worried now, for they couldn't tell what Jun Linyuan would do when he went berserk. Feng Wu only realized what she had done when she looked into Jun Linyuan's bloodshot eyes. She turned to flee. However, the difference in their strength was too significant. Feng Wu only made it 2 steps when a pair of long arms clamped around her waist. Jun Linyuan then pinned her down on the low table. Thud! They landed hard on the table. Both were infuriated, both glared at each other, and both were panting. Feng Wu glowered in exasperation, and her unblinking gaze reminded Jun Linyuan of a fierce she-tiger, recalling how he had bullied and oppressed her while she had no way to fight back. She grew all the more aggrieved, and tears welled up in her eyes. But she only bit her lower lip stubbornly and went on glaring at Jun Linyuan. She refused to give in. Jun Linyuan's face was livid. However, when he saw the tears in Feng Wu's eyes, his anger gradually disappeared. It was replaced by an emotion that could be called pity. When Jun Linyuan's big hand landed on Feng Wu's head, her long eyelashes quivered. Chapter 533, The Broken Star Piece. Chapter 533, The Broken Star Piece. Did she think he was going to hit her? Jun Linyuan sighed in resignation, then pinched Feng Wu's smooth cheek. He used a little too much strength, which made Feng Wu grimace. "So, you do feel pain," the Crown Prince said coldly. Feng Wu was exasperated. "None of your business." Jun Linyuan chuckled at those words. He gave Feng Wu's cheek a little squeeze, then said, "Do you think you could just walk away after hitting me, the Crown Prince? You can't possibly be that naive." A few steps away, Feng and Granny Gong exchanged looks. His Royal Highness hadn't lost control after all, and Miss Wu was still alive after slapping His Royal Highness. However, she would still be punished, all right. Feng tipped Granny Gong the wink. Granny Gong smiled bitterly, then stepped out reluctantly. "Your Royal Highness, the hot spring is ready. Shall we?" The hot spring. Jun Linyuan shot a quick glance at Granny Gong, then nodded. Granny Gong was resolute when it came to ensuring that the servants carried out her orders, but she was still fearful of Jun Linyuan. After that, she gave Feng Wu a warning glance before she promptly left the scene. However, Feng Wu did understand what Granny Gong meant by that glance. Jun Linyuan snorted and stared at Feng Wu. "You want to get into Imperial College?" Despite her anger and grievances, Feng Wu nodded. "Yes." "And registration is closed?" "Yes." "Mr. Liu wouldn't make an exception for you." Feng Wu looked up abruptly and glowered at Jun Linyuan. "You know perfectly well why Mr. Liu didn't agree." Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu arrogantly. "That's right. I do." So, he was blatantly bullying her. He couldn't even be bothered to pretend. Feng Wu took a deep breath to fight back her anger. Calm down, calm down. Sitting in a wrought-tan chair on the other side, Jun Linyuan rubbed his chin absent-mindedly. You want to get into Imperial College? I can make that happen. Feng Wu stared at him and waited for him to play his hand. Jun Linyuan darted a casual glance at Feng Wu. Make me happy, and I'll let you register. Feng Wu clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and turned to leave. Make you happy, my ass. However, she had only taken 2 steps when she sensed a dense streak of spiritual essence. Turning around involuntarily, Feng Wu took one look, and her eyes went bloodshot red. The broken star piece. On the table was an exquisite small box that Feng Wu had seen once before. It was none other than that wooden box that contained the broken star piece. However, the broken star piece was in Jun Linyuan's hand now. It was a thin piece that gave off a resplendent light. Dense spiritual essence was coming out of it, which made Feng Wu want to make a breakthrough. What are you doing? Seeing that Jun Linyuan was going to consume that piece, Feng Wu grabbed his wrist in a hurry. I'm going to consume it, said Jun Linyuan casually. Feng Wu. Jun Linyuan said, you're no longer applying for Imperial College, so the deal is off. Feng Wu bellowed, stop. Stop it. Only the broken star pieces could save her master, and she needed all 5 pieces. If Jun Linyuan consumed this one, then her beautiful master. Feng Wu was flustered by that thought. Why should I? Jun Linyuan kept his gaze on Feng Wu and said carelessly, if I consume it, I'll be able to level up. Chapter 534. Feng Wu the Scrubbing Girl. Chapter 534. Feng Wu the Scrubbing Girl. Feng Wu was fuming. I couldn't care less about your cultivation level. If you harm my beautiful master in any way, I'm going to kill you. Feng Wu took a deep breath, then another. Finally, she was able to suppress her anxiety. Crouching down, Feng Wu looked up at Jun Linyuan in an ingratiating manner. There was a wide grin on her beautiful face. Your Royal Highness, how can I be of service to you today? That was fast. Feng smacked his forehead. Satisfied, the crown prince rose to his feet and headed out of the yard. Feng Wu followed him out immediately. I'm doing this for my beautiful master. Feng Wu clenched her fists. The crown prince's residence befitted his status. In the busiest part of the city where property prices were exorbitantly high, this residence was so spacious that one could ride a horse around in it. They walked for about 5 minutes before Feng Wu started to feel a rise in the temperature, as if magma was rolling beneath the ground. A magnificent palace came into view. Jun Linyuan walked in straight away, and Feng Wu had to follow. Once inside, Feng Wu felt the hot air on her face. It's so hot here. Is this a subterranean heat? Is there magma beneath us? The fire spiritual energy inside Feng Wu was stirring and threatening to break free, and Feng Wu had to suppress it. Jun Linyuan darted a casual glance at her. Do you know what a dragon load is? Isn't that just a legend? Feng Wu looked at him eagerly. Jun Linyuan stood by the hot spring pool and held his arms straight out on both sides. Feng Wu hesitated. However, as soon as Jun Linyuan looked at her, she forced a smile, ran up to him immediately, and took off Jun Linyuan's robe off. She then hung it over an exquisite screen. The robe, the shirt, the vest. If she kept doing this, Jun Linyuan would be naked. Looking at his muscular chest, Feng Wu could hear the blood rushing into her head, and her cheeks felt warm. Jun Linyuan had always had brooding eyes. Gazing at Feng Wu, his eyes were as deep as an abyss. Satisfied, Feng Wu took off his white undergarment, then pushed him from behind. The crown prince glanced at Feng Wu. What now? That look gave Feng Wu the creeps. Jun Linyuan said contemptuously, Are you sure you're going to wear all those layers in a hot place like this? Feng Wu put her arms over her chest and looked alarmed. I'm very sure. Jun Linyuan frowned. Feng Wu was on the alert. Hey, don't get any indecent ideas. I have my boundaries. I'll scrub your back and no more. The crown prince rolled his eyes. You're making things up in your head. Feng Wu snorted. I'm so pretty. No one can guarantee that you won't try anything. Jun Linyuan smirked. Prettier than me? Feng Wu was shocked. Jun Linyuan, I didn't know you had this side to you. Jun Linyuan realized what he had said and had a cough into his hand to cover up his embarrassment. Somehow, when Feng Wu was around, he couldn't help but show his true self. What he said wasn't like him at all. It was all because of this silly girl. Darting a glance at Feng Wu, Jun Linyuan beckoned her over. Come here. Feng Wu inched toward him. Let me make it very clear. I'll only scrub you, and that's it. Jun Linyuan tossed her a clean bath towel. Get on with your job. Chapter 535, A Poolside Massage. Chapter 535, A Poolside Massage. Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu, then beckoned her over the way one would summon a pet. Come here. In the enshrouding mist, his well-toned muscles reminded one of a fine marble sculpture. He was half submerged in the hot spring, and only his exquisite clavicle and long neck was exposed. The teenager spread his arms and rested them on the edge of the pool. His brooding eyes looked like bottomless pits, and there seemed to be an intrigued look in them. One had to admit that he had a very nice body that was fatally seductive. However, Feng Wu only snorted. My beautiful master would look even nicer without his clothes on. Get over here. Jun Linyuan waved at her like a big boss. Feng Wu wanted to refuse, but then she thought about that broken star piece. She had no choice but to bite her lower lip and slowly walk toward him. What? Feng Wu looked down at Jun Linyuan. The crown prince glanced at her arrogantly. What do you think? Feng Wu took a deep breath. You don't look very happy, Jun Linyuan said in a careless tone. This was all for the broken star piece. Feng Wu took another deep breath and squeezed out a smile. Of course I'm happy. It's my greatest honor to serve your royal highness. That pleased the crown prince, and he let out an arrogant grunt. Let's just get it over with and get me registered. She had to prepare for the exam and so much more. At that thought, Feng Wu crouched down, scooped up some water, and poured it down Jun Linyuan's muscular back. Feng Wu was going to lather Jun Linyuan's back when... What? Feng Wu cried out in surprise. Jun Linyuan's fair back was covered in scars, some from whipping and others from blades. They crisscrossed all over his back, which made Feng Wu's mouth fall open. To her, Jun Linyuan had always been this golden boy that was the most superior figure in the empire. He was revered, well-loved, and the most bossy teenager she had ever met. But where had he gotten all these wounds? As a medicine refiner, Feng Wu could tell with one look that these were old scars that were probably left over from when Jun Linyuan had still been child. What kind of childhood did he have? Do you know how to do it properly? Just when Feng Wu was feeling that Jun Linyuan was a little pitiful, the crown prince's arrogant voice rang out. Don't just sit around. Start scrubbing. Feng Wu was speechless. That tiny bit of tender feeling vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Not only was this overbearing teenager so unreasonable, he had also bullied her, exploited her, and humiliated her. Why should she feel pity for him? Did she suddenly get Stockholm Syndrome or something? Feng Wu flared up, but her beautiful master then came to mind. Calm down now. Her beautiful master would wake up, and he would kick all those stupid asses for her. By then, Jun Linyuan, she felt much better once she thought that. She then smiled at Jun Linyuan. Your Royal Highness, do you want a massage? Well, you should be pleased now. Jun Linyuan snorted. Whatever. He then added, I have no expectations of you. Feng Wu didn't know what to say. This guy just couldn't let a day pass without pissing her off. I'll show you what I can do. Feng Wu decided to impress him. Tossing the bath towel away, she began to add pressure to the acupoints on his shoulders. And she was an expert in that. As an excellent medicine refiner, Feng Wu wasn't boasting when she said that no one on this continent could find acupoints as accurately as she could. Chapter 536, Poolside. Chapter 536, Poolside. When Feng Wu's warm hands made contact with Jun Linyuan's skin, a shiver ran down his spine. The crown prince went as stiff as an iron bar. This was the first time anyone had touched him like this. Feng Wu's smooth hands moved around as if she was playing a piano. They landed on Jun Linyuan's shoulders and began to press down with gentle yet persistent pressure. Jun Linyuan had no idea that getting a massage could be this satisfying, especially that pair of soft hands, which moved in such a way that the amount of pressure they used was perfect. He felt as if electricity was running through his veins, and he had never felt this content. Jun Linyuan slowly closed his eyes and heaved a sigh of satisfaction. Outside, Feng and Granny Gong stood there facing each other. Granny Gong looked concerned. Despite how calm Feng was, she couldn't hold it in anymore. She had to ask, "Is everything really okay in there?" Feng nodded. "Don't worry, but His Royal Highness is a neat freak who never touches women. He threw out all the concubine maids that the Empress arranged for him. His Royal Highness is still a virgin. Is he going to be all right?" Feng rolled his eyes. "You're worrying too much." "Seriously?" "No, I'm not." Granny Gong was bewildered. His Royal Highness took Miss Wu into the hot spring himself. Isn't that obvious enough? I think we both know what's about to happen. Feng rolled his eyes again. Granny Gong really gave their young master too much credit. Just then, they heard Jun Linyuan's voice from inside. "You move?" Feng Wu said. "You're so hard. How am I supposed to move?" "That's exactly why you should. Jun Linyuan, you're being completely unreasonable." "Who says I need to be reasonable with you? This is so exhausting. I'm done moving. Do it yourself. Let go of me. You started it. You're not going anywhere until it's done." Feng's mouth fell open and Granny Gong reacted the same way. They exchanged shocked looks. Feng couldn't believe his ears. With how difficult and proud His Royal Highness was, how could he make such quick progress? This was unbelievable. Granny Gong grinned after the initial shock. She rubbed her hands together cheerfully. "This is great news. His Royal Highness is finally into girls. The Empress Dowager will burst into tears of joy if she hears about this." Jun Linyuan was the Empress Dowager's favorite grandson. To her, Jun Linyuan was better than the dozens of Emperor Wu's other sons put together. She doted on the crown prince. Granny Gong covered her mouth in excitement. "With how amazing His Royal Highness is, do you think he'll impregnate Miss Wu on the first go?" Feng was speechless. The more Granny Gong thought about it, the more elated she was. "If that happens, we'll have a little Royal Highness next year. Oh God, we're going to have a little prodigy in the Empire again. Although Miss Wu is just 14, isn't that a bit too young?" Feng was speechless. In the hot spring, Feng Wu had no idea how the two outside had misinterpreted the situation. Right now, all she knew was that her hands were exhausted. Jun Linyuan's muscles were so tense, especially those on his back. They were hard to loosen up, and Feng Wu had to knead very hard in order for her massage to take effect. "Jun Linyuan." Feng Wu smacked his back repeatedly. "Why are you so tense? Don't tell me that." Chapter 537, A Fight in the Hot Spring. Chapter 537, A Fight in the Hot Spring. Feng Wu smacked his taut shoulders. "Why are you so tense? Don't tell me that." "You're nervous?" "Nervous?" The crown prince jumped to his feet and water splashed all over Feng Wu's face. "I'm nervous? Huh?" Jun Linyuan turned around and stared at Feng Wu. "Who on earth do you think you are? Some goddess from heaven? Why should I get nervous from your touch?" "Feng Wu, don't flatter yourself." Feng Wu looked at him in bewilderment. "I only wondered if your Royal Highness might be nervous because you think I might damage your energy channels. Why are you so jumpy?" Jun Linyuan didn't say anything. How embarrassing. His earlobes turned pink, and he glared at Feng Wu. "Get back to work. You talk too much." All right. The poor girl went back to giving His Royal Highness a massage. Fortunately, with her rhythmic kneading, the muscles on Jun Linyuan's back gradually relaxed. But it was such an exhausting process. Whenever Feng Wu wanted to stop, the crown prince would snort through his nose, which gave rise to the conversation that Granny Gong and Feng had heard just then. 15 minutes passed, then an hour, 2 hours. Feng Wu thought that her hands were going to cramp up. She was massaging Jun Lin Yuan, an incredible cultivator, which was a completely different story from working on an ordinary person. To make the massage enjoyable for Jun Lin Yuan, Feng Wu needed much more control over the pressure her hands exerted. Much more. It challenged Feng Wu's massage technique greatly. After 4 hours, Feng Wu couldn't take it anymore. She sat down on the ground in exhaustion and wiped her sweaty forehead with a towel. Jun Lin Yuan had closed his eyes, and his long eyelashes made 2 crescent shadows under them. His well-defined features reminded her of a masterly built sculpture, whose beauty was breathtaking. Seeing this, Feng Wu let out a breath of relief. Finally, she was free to go. She quietly rose to her feet and turned to leave on tiptoe. But she was only able to make it a few steps. "How dare you leave now?" A hand came out of nowhere. It grabbed Feng Wu's slim ankle and pulled. Crash! Feng Wu lost her balance and fell backward at the yank. Splash! Feng Wu fell backward into the hot spring, splashing water everywhere. She was submerged before she knew it. She kicked the bottom of the pool instinctively and began to paddle upward to the surface. Flustered, Feng Wu paid no attention to where her foot landed, and she didn't realize what she had stepped on. Jun Lin Yuan's face turned livid at that kick, and he drew in his breath. He glared at Feng Wu. No matter how excellent a cultivator he was as sensitive down there as every other man. Was this girl trying to make him impotent or something? Feng Wu had no idea what she had done. She quickly reached the edge of the pool and jumped out of the water in the next second. Turning around, she glared at Jun Lin Yuan. "What's wrong with you? Can't you use your words? Why is everything so physical with you? Can't you try to talk to me before moving into action? Why did you have to drag me in? I would have drowned if I didn't know how to swim." Feng Wu was still lashing out when she realized. Jun Lin Yuan's face was very dark. It was more than dark. He looked like he wanted to kill someone. Chapter 538. A little Jun Lin Yuan on its way? Chapter 538. A little Jun Lin Yuan on its way. Feng Wu was speechless. What was wrong? Why was Jun Lin Yuan's face so livid all of a sudden? And why that murderous look? Feng Wu's senses were as acute as a wild animal's. Once she realized the threat Jun Lin Yuan posed to her, she fell back, turned around, and ran for the exit. She had to get out now, or she would have to face Jun Lin Yuan's wrath. Feng Wu ran as fast as she could. She reached the door in no time and grabbed the door handle. 1 second, that was all she needed. However, it was the longest second she had ever experienced. Whoosh! A streak of white light flashed through the air. Feng Wu looked over her shoulder and saw a long white curtain coming at her. "No!" Feng Wu cried out in surprise and tried her best to open the door. However, the curtain wrapped around her thin waist, and Jun Lin Yuan pulled. The next moment, Feng Wu flew back toward Jun Lin Yuan like a swing. The white curtain was like an extension of Jun Lin Yuan's arm. It gently pulled Feng Wu back and slowly put her down in front of him. And it remained wrapped around Feng Wu, leaving her suspended over the pool. Right now, Feng Wu's hands and feet were all tied up, and the curtain was wrapped around her from the neck down. "Where do you think you're going?" Jun Lin Yuan poked Feng Wu's cheek with a finger. Suspended in midair, Feng Wu was less than 10 centimeters away from Jun Lin Yuan. She thought she was going to explode. Did he think he could simply do such a thing to her? "What's wrong with you?" Feng Wu flared up. "Did I do anything to you?" "No, I haven't. Why are you doing this to me? I need an explanation." "You didn't do anything? Really?" "I swear on my life. I didn't do anything." Feng Wu felt so wronged and so aggrieved. Jun Lin Yuan threw her a sidelong glance and smirked. "You know perfectly well what you did." "What on earth did I?" Feng Wu's gaze shifted downward, and she saw Jun Lin Yuan's lower half. Her mouth fell open, her cheeks flushed, and her eyes darted around in a fluster. Face livid, the crown prince wanted to lash out, but couldn't. All he could do was glare at Feng Wu. For a moment, it was really awkward. Jun Lin Yuan rose to his feet, splashing water everywhere. The next second, he dried himself off, and with a wave of his hand, his undergarments were as good as new. He then threw a robe over his shoulders and headed for the door. "Hey!" Feng Wu yelled behind him. "Put me down. Put me down now." Jun Lin Yuan was such an oddball. He was capricious and unpredictable, and one had no idea how to respond to his behavior. He kept walking without looking back, but his finger moved a little. Splash! Feng Wu fell into the hot spring once more, and the door to the hot spring pool opened. Feng and Granny Gong, who had been talking, went back to their positions immediately and stood ramrod straight. "Get her some clothes," the Crown Prince instructed Granny Gong when he walked past her. Granny Gong's eyes widened. She then looked at Feng. Feng was astonished. Granny Gong, on the other hand, was elated. "Hear that? His Royal Highness told me to get Miss Wu some clothes. Do I have to tell you what happened in there? Ho ho! If we're lucky, we'll have a baby in the residence by next year. Right? I need to get those clothes for Miss Wu now." She then went off cheerfully and left Feng behind, who didn't look convinced. Had His Royal Highness really done it? Chapter 539. She and His Royal Highness. Chapter 539. She and His Royal Highness. Feng Wu had no idea about what was going on in Granny Gong's head, nor did she know about Feng's suspicions. At that moment, her only thought was to strangle Jun Lin Yuan herself. How could he do this? He would tease her, make fun of her, or bully her whenever he felt like it. She was so frustrated. Just as Feng Wu was about to crawl out of the hot spring, she shuddered violently, and the fire spiritual energy exploded inside her. Wait, seriously? It felt like she would break through as soon as she lost her temper. That was incredible. There was no time to think. Feng Wu sat back down in the water. What she didn't know was that this hot spring had been created by using the essence of the magma extracted from underground, which was then infused with fire spiritual energy. The concept of a dragon lode was brought up when the Imperial city was established, and this hot spring sat right where the heart of that dragon was located. One could find the purest and most active fire spiritual energy here. Feng Wu had gotten one hell of a deal by coming here. Meanwhile, Feng Wu had no time to think. She sank to the bottom of the pool and sat there cross-legged. Soon, fire spiritual energy flickered and danced around her, reminding one of little fairies. Time flew by. Feng Wu felt a satisfying sensation 5 minutes later, as if all her pores had opened up. She had broken through. She had been a level 3 spiritual grandmaster when she came here, and she was a level 4 now. Feng Wu was astonished after the breakthrough. She didn't know that was even possible. She recalled that she had broken through before right as Jun Lin Yuan pissed her off. She had been furious, but had nowhere to vent her anger. The next thing she knew, she had leveled up. And it had just happened again. She was mad at Jun Lin Yuan, and she made a breakthrough. Feng Wu was speechless. Being pissed off by Jun Lin Yuan was a stimulus for her cultivation. What was the reasoning behind that? Feng Wu was dumbfounded. Whatever. She had pushed quite a significant amount of toxins out of her body during the breakthrough, so she took off all her clothes down to her undergarments. She then quickly washed herself. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Feng Wu covered her chest with her arms involuntarily. It couldn't be Jun Lin Yuan, could it? No, it couldn't be. That fiend would never knock before coming in. Feng Wu called out, "Who is it?" Granny Gong's kind, friendly voice rang out. "It's me. His Royal Highness left instructions, and I'm here to bring you some clothes." Feng Wu was about to get some clothes out of her ring, but she stopped halfway. If she did that, she would expose the secret of her ring. "Come in." Granny Gong walked in to find Feng Wu submerged in the hot spring with only her head above the water. She looked at Granny Gong with her beautiful eyes. Only her head was above the water. Was she trying to hide the marks on her body? "Miss Wu, would you like to come out now? Let me help you get dressed." Feng Wu waved her hands immediately. "No, that won't be necessary. Granny Gong, Please don't let me keep you. I'm fine by myself. Then, how about I get Xiang's out here to wait on you? No, I'm fine, really. Feng Wu turned her down right away. Granny Gong took it as a sign of how shy Feng Wu was. At the thought of what had just happened between the girl and His Royal Highness, she smiled. Of course. Miss Wu, please feel free to do whatever pleases you. I'm going to make some soup with that 10,000-year-old purple ginseng. Miss Wu, please enjoy the hot spring for as long as you want. It'll help you get over your fatigue. Take your time. There's no need to hurry. Chapter 540. Jun Linyuan made a breakthrough? Chapter 540. Jun Linyuan made a breakthrough. After that, Granny Gong left in a hurry, attentively closing the door behind her. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. As the chief maid of this residence, Granny Gong enjoyed quite a superior status. Even someone like Mrs. Yin would greet Granny Gong with respect. However, the granny was so nice to her. As a matter of fact, a little too nice. And what was that 10,000-year-old purple ginseng about? Feng Wu's heart skipped a bit. Had Granny Gong noticed that she had just had a breakthrough and was worn out? Was that why she wanted to restore her health with that 10,000-year-old purple ginseng? Had her secret been exposed? At that thought, Feng Wu couldn't sit still anymore. Rising to her feet, she quickly changed into the clean clothes which Granny Gong had brought her, then walked out in a hurry. Where's Granny Gong? Feng Wu walked out to find no one outside. In a pavilion a few steps away, Feng stood there ramrod straight with his hands behind his back. What is Feng doing there? All of a sudden, Feng Wu looked up at the sky. There wasn't a wisp of cloud in the sky when she looked, but 1 second later, black clouds gathered overhead and the light dimmed. The next moment, rumble! A bolt of lightning struck the pavilion Feng was standing in. With all the flashing lightning and rumbling thunder, Feng Wu was only able to make out the teenager sitting in the pavilion after a while. From behind, his straight, muscular back provided her with a sense of security, and he was fatally seductive at the same time. Rumble! A sudden clap of thunder exploded in the black clouds, and a bolt of lightning struck like a sharp blade, aimed right at Jun Linyuan's head. It was such a frightening, lightning tribulation. And more lightning kept striking down. There was a second lightning bolt, a third, and a fourth. They came down one after another without stopping. Feng Wu covered her mouth in astonishment. She had never seen such a terrifying lightning tribulation before. If it were her sitting there, she'd be in pieces by now. Would Jun Linyuan be able to handle it? It was a lightning tribulation after all. Just when Feng Wu was feeling concern for Jun Linyuan. To Feng Wu's surprise, Jun Linyuan stretched out his right arm with his palm facing upward. Rumble! The first bolt of lightning, the second, the third. Jun Linyuan caught all 9 lightning bolts with his hand. The lightning then turned into a ball, which emanated a terrifying energy. However, Jun Linyuan then squeezed. Thud! The ball was crushed in his palm. It was pulverized. Feng Wu's eyes opened wide. She couldn't believe that she had just witnessed a lightning tribulation. She had experienced a lightning tribulation herself before. At her level, she had already been pushing her limit to get through it. She couldn't imagine what Jun Linyuan's tribulation had to feel like. The first bolt of lightning burned everything within a 1-kilometer radius of the pavilion to the ground. However, Jun Linyuan wasn't affected at all. Once the lightning tribulation was over, the dark clouds scattered and the sky had never looked so clear and blue. Jun Linyuan had made a breakthrough. Right now, even his back had an indecipherable feel to it. The attraction was breathtaking, and it was almost impossible for one to take their eyes off him. He was indeed the future ruler of the continent. The next moment, he jumped out of the pavilion and turned around. His unblinking gaze shifted to Feng Wu. His brooding eyes were so dark that no light seemed to be able to penetrate them. Walking toward her out of the ashes, he reminded her of a god. His robe flapped, although there was no wind, and he had a majestic air to him. Finally, he stopped in front of her. Chapter 541. Feng Wu shoves Jun Linyuan in vexation. Chapter 541. Feng Wu shoves Jun Linyuan in vexation. Jun Linyuan stared at Feng Wu. His eyes reminded her of bright stars and bottomless pits at the same time. He kept his gaze on her, and something flickered in his eyes. All of a sudden, he raised a hand and tried to touch Feng Wu's cheek with his slender fingers. Feng Wu stepped back involuntarily. Jun Linyuan frowned a little. An idea then struck Feng Wu, and she beamed at him right away. Jun Linyuan, you made a breakthrough. Are you happy now? Feng Wu would win the bet if he said yes. Feng Wu held her hands together in a praying gesture, but Jun Linyuan said in a cold voice, no. Feng Wu bristled. Why? You've leveled up. At Jun Linyuan's advanced level, breakthroughs were much more difficult to attain. Jun Linyuan glanced at her indifferently, put his hands behind his back, and said proudly, what's there to be happy about? All my muscles are so sore. Your muscles are sore? Feng Wu thought she was going to explode. She had been so exhausted during the massage that she had wanted to stop several times. However, this guy had forced her to keep working by threatening her with that broken star piece. At that thought, Feng Wu's stomach lurched. The broken star piece. Had Jun Linyuan made a breakthrough because he had consumed that broken star piece? Feng Wu lost control. She rushed to Jun Linyuan's side, grabbed him, and began to feel up his chest. Jun Linyuan was flabbergasted. Granny Gong, who had just arrived with some 10,000-year-old purple ginseng soup, watched this with an open mouth. Were they that eager? Jun Linyuan took Feng Wu by her wrist and stared at her. Are you really that eager? Granny Gong was speechless. So she had guessed right. Feng Wu said, let go of my hand. Where's my broken star piece? Did you consume it? You did, didn't you? So, she was only after the broken star piece. Jun Linyuan's face darkened, and he looked pissed. Feng Wu was only anxious before, but now, she panicked. It was her broken star piece. Her only way to save her beautiful master. No one in this world was more important to her than her beautiful master. Feng Wu glared at Jun Linyuan in exasperation. Jun Linyuan, you liar. Didn't you promise that you would give me that broken star piece? How could you use it yourself? You're unbelievable. I was so wrong about you. The Crown Prince's face was darker than a stormy night. He glowered at Feng Wu, but Feng Wu didn't even flinch. Now that the broken star piece was gone, she had no reason to be threatened. She shoved Jun Linyuan in frustration, and Jun Linyuan stumbled back. Speak. Say something. Guilty conscience, is it? I never thought you could do this. You broke your promise in order to help your own cultivation. Tears welled up in Feng Wu's eyes. Her beautiful master. She owed him so much, and she had lost her only chance to save him. She was full of despair. Over on the other side, Granny Gong and Feng were terrified. With their Crown Prince's temperament, they wouldn't be surprised if he ended up killing Miss Wu. What should they do? Granny Gong was worried sick. Feng was the more experienced one, and he waved his hand. Let's wait and see. But for what? Granny Gong was so scared of what might happen to Feng Wu. His Royal Highness was such a proud and aloof guy that he would never let anyone wrong him like that. He had killed for even less. But because it was Feng Wu, his only reaction was to storm off. Chapter 542, Brother Jun. Chapter 542, Brother Jun. However, as soon as he turned around, he saw Feng Wu's teary eyes and the aggrieved look on her face. One couldn't help but feel pity for the angry and upset girl. But that didn't stop Jun Linyuan from getting mad. Staring at her, the Crown Prince asked in a husky, frustrated voice, does that broken star piece really mean that much to you? Feng Wu glared back at him. Of course. It's more important than my own life. More important than mine? Jun Linyuan gritted his teeth. Are you saying your life is more important than mine? Feng Wu snapped. The proud Crown Prince drew in his breath. Feng looked up at the sky, not knowing what to say. Your Royal Highness, you've made your bed. Now you must lie in it. Breathing hard, Jun Linyuan glowered at Feng Wu. A what? You want to hit me? Do it. Just do it. Without the broken star piece, I don't want to live anymore. Kill me. Now. Feng Wu moved closer and took Jun Lin Yuan's hand. But then, Jun Lin Yuan opened his palm. In the center of his palm lay that broken star piece. Feng Wu was about to lash out again when she spotted the broken star piece. She stopped crying instantly and cried out in surprise. Ah, my broken star piece. My broken star piece. It's still here. Feng Wu hopped around in excitement and tugged at Jun Lin Yuan's sleeve. My broken star piece is still here. My broken star piece. Mine. She was happy now. Where was that shrew from a minute ago? The crown prince threw a dirty look at the girl. Which is more important, your life or the broken star piece? Feng Wu's heart sank. She finally realized what she had said. Holy shit. She felt like hitting herself on the head. How could she? Looking up, she saw the smirk on Jun Lin Yuan's face, and she was speechless. Then, Jun Lin Yuan put away the broken star piece, flipped his sleeves, and was ready to leave. No, no, no. Feng Wu ran after him right away. Jun Lin Yuan. Jun Lin Yuan ignored her. This wasn't happening. Feng Wu was almost in tears. It was so obvious that Jun Lin Yuan was mad. The crown prince here was the most unforgiving person in the world, and he was very vindictive. Feng Wu ran even faster. She caught up with Jun Lin Yuan and grabbed his wide sleeve. Your Royal Highness, my dear crown prince, please don't go. Brother Jun. The teenager only stopped after much pulling and dragging on Feng Wu's part. Brother Jun. Feng Wu blocked his way. The proud crown prince turned his head to the left. Brother Jun. The crown prince turned the other way, his face still expressionless. Brother Jun, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Feng Wu put on an aggrieved look and pouted. She was a beautiful girl to begin with. Her long, dense eyelashes were like two little fans, and they were still wet with her tears. When she lowered her gaze, the glistening eyelashes reminded one of dewdrops at dawn, which could bring out all of the pity in a person. Jun Lin Yuan had to fight the urge to wipe her tears away for her. He clenched his fists behind his back, maintained an arrogant expression, gritted his teeth, and stared at her coldly. Feng Wu saw that he was still mad, so she swayed his arm back and forth and said in a pitiful voice, It was all my fault. I'm sorry. I really am. The fate of her broken star piece was still in his hands, as well as whether or not she could take that exam. She had to succumb to his power. Jun Lin Yuan glared at her, then snorted. You're sorry? About what? Chapter 543, My Dear Brother Jun. Chapter 543, My Dear Brother Jun. I shouldn't have yelled at you. Feng Wu bit her lower lip, darted a quick glance at him, then lowered her head again. Jun Lin Yuan smirked. That's it. I shouldn't have accused you of not keeping your promise. Move. I shouldn't have called you a liar. Feng Wu twisted her sleeve between her fingers. I shouldn't have. Without knowing it, Jun Lin Yuan's heart had already begun to soften when he looked at the girl's sad face. However, his tone remained just as stiff. Which is more important to you, your life or the broken star piece? Of course the bee. Feng Wu saw Jun Lin Yuan frown as soon as she blurted out her reply, and she changed it right away. My life. Of course my life is more important. Feng Wu even made a fist to go with the answer. Jun Lin Yuan glanced down at her. Then what? Feng Wu was dumbfounded. However, judging by the look in Jun Lin Yuan's eyes, she was expected to say something. Jun Lin Yuan threw off Feng Wu's hand and went on walking. She couldn't let him go now. Running after him in exasperation, Feng Wu caught Jun Lin Yuan's sleeve. Then your life is more important than the broken star piece. That was what she was supposed to say, right? Jun Lin Yuan's gaze remained blank. Flustered, Feng Wu cried out, Jun Lin Yuan, your life is more important than mine. This was it, right? She had said the right thing, hadn't she? Feng Wu rested her chin on her fists and blinked her shiny eyes, eager to hear the verdict. Jun Lin Yuan snorted and looked less pissed. Feng and Granny Gong exchanged looks, and both gave the Crown Prince a thumbs up in their heads. Your Royal Highness. Awesome. Feng Wu had no idea what those words she had impulsively cried out meant to Jun Linyuan. She only watched him expectantly and was very excited. Her fair skin was flawless, and she was so slim that it seemed she could barely hold up the weight of her clothes. She looked so attractive this way. The thick layer of ice wrapped around Jun Linyuan's heart cracked at that moment. Unfortunately, he didn't know it himself. He coughed into his fist to ease the awkwardness. Was she right? Was she? Feng Wu looked at him eagerly and tugged at his sleeve without realizing it. Humph, Jun Linyuan grunted. Feng Wu acted like a little sycophant. Still holding Jun Linyuan's sleeve, she asked, Brother Jun, you made a breakthrough without consuming the broken star piece. It had something to do with what I did, right? Read latest chapters at Novel Full. How does it have anything to do with you? Jun Linyuan darted her a glance. It has everything to do with me. Feng Wu snapped. Look, does a breakthrough happen to you every day? No, right? So, it happened today because I gave you a massage, opened up your energy channels, and relaxed your muscles. And voila, you leveled up. Am I right? Jun Linyuan raised his chin proudly and looked up at the sky. Well, Feng Wu pouted, then said quietly, was that not the case? Have I really done nothing to help? She then lowered her head, looking crestfallen. Her long eyelashes quivered, and she wrung the lower hem of her clothes. She looked so adorable that it reminded him of a spiritual pet. Jun Linyuan didn't say anything. He then patted her head and said impatiently, Fine, you did help a little. Really? Feng Wu's beautiful eyes sparkled, and she stared at Jun Linyuan in excitement. Really? Really? I really helped you. Chapter 544, The Broken Star Piece. Chapter 544, The Broken Star Piece. Jun Linyuan threw a contemptuous glance at her. Why was she so happy? It was a tiny compliment. Holding Jun Linyuan's arm, Feng Wu hopped around. Since I helped you so much, can you give me that broken star piece? Please. There were stars in the girl's eyes. But Jun Linyuan only gave her a knowing look. She might be fawning on him now, but once he gave her that broken star piece, she would forget all about him and run away as fast as she could. Jun Linyuan knew that side of her too well. No, but why? Feng Wu pouted. Because I said so. Then what about Imperial College? Feng Wu eyed him eagerly. Jun Linyuan pondered. Please put in a good word for me with Mr. Liu, won't you? He wouldn't listen to me no matter what I said, and it was so humiliating. Brother Jun, Feng Wu wriggled around. Stand still and stop squirming. Jun Linyuan scolded her. All right, Feng Wu drew out the word. Fine, Jun Linyuan said with a stern face and waved his hand impatiently. There can be an extra candidate for the exam. Feng. After standing in the background for so long, Feng was finally put to use again. Feng nodded, then left the courtyard. He returned shortly afterward, handing Feng Wu an envelope with Jun Linyuan's personal seal on it. Miss Wu, please put this away carefully. You'll be able to exchange this letter for an exam permit. Feng Wu put the envelope in her chest pocket right away, fearing that Jun Linyuan might take it away again. Jun Linyuan's face darkened. Why did he have the feeling that she liked that letter better than him? Once the exam permit was secured, Feng Wu had nothing to ask from Jun Linyuan for the time being. She was back to her proud self again. She gave a wave of her hand and was ready to leave. Granny Gong went up to her in a hurry. Miss Wu, please have this 10,000-year-old purple ginseng soup while it's still warm. It's a great tonic for your body. Granny Gong smiled kindly at Feng Wu. Feng Wu wanted to turn it down, but she had made several breakthroughs in a short period of time, and she did indeed feel like she was lacking some energy. But why was Granny Gong offering her a tonic? Could it be that Granny Gong had found out about her cultivation? Feng Wu's stomach lurched. She looked at Granny Gong and asked tentatively, but why? Miss Wu, you worked really hard back there, and you need something nutritious. Now drink this. It won't be as effective when it's cold. This works wonders, Granny Gong said cheerfully. Of course Feng Wu knew how wonderful it was. But I didn't work hard. It's not like I actually did anything. Feng Wu tried to explain. Granny Gong said immediately, yes. Yes, of course. I apologize for His Royal Highness. Miss Wu, you're way too young to go through that. Now, please drink this purple ginseng soup. All right. Feng Wu nodded. It seemed that Granny Gong knew how Jun Linyuan had bullied her, and this purple ginseng had been made for her as an apology. While it go to waste, at that thought, Feng Wu drained the bowl in one go. Jun Linyuan glanced at Granny Gong in silence. Feng Wu then took the letter to Imperial College. This was the second time today that Mr. Liu took an envelope from Feng Wu. The first one was from Old Man Ba, his old friend, and that letter had stirred him. And the second time, seeing that Feng Wu had come back, Mr. Liu felt sorry for her and gave her a wry smile. Chapter 545, The Exam Permit. Chapter 545, The Exam Permit. You came back empty-handed, didn't you? It's understandable. The door to that residence isn't open to everyone. After all, given Feng Wu's status and capability, it was impossible for her to get through that gate. However, Feng Wu only took a letter from her chest pocket and carefully put it down on the table. Mr. Liu frowned when he saw the envelope. Was this girl trying to bribe him now? He picked up the envelope, took out the letter, and shook it open. It consisted of one line only, but there was a scarlet seal at the bottom of the letter. Mr. Liu gave the right bottom corner a casual glance. His eyes opened wide the next second. This letter was from the Crown Prince's residence. Mr. Liu raised his head abruptly and looked at Feng Wu in disbelief. He didn't come back to himself for quite a while. After some time, he said in an affirmative tone, "This is the seal of the Crown Prince's residence." Feng Wu nodded indifferently. "How did you get this letter?" "You." Mr. Liu couldn't believe his eyes. Feng Wu recalled the things she had to do for Jun Linyuan back in the residence, and she didn't know where to begin. She only said casually, "Will this letter do?" "Yes, of course." The seal had to be authentic, and so was Mr. Feng's handwriting. Moreover, no one would dare fake a letter from the Crown Prince's residence. If they were found out, they would wish for the death penalty. Mr. Liu just found it difficult to understand. His Royal Highness's man had come here to stop Feng Wu from getting the permit, but His Royal Highness had written a letter to recommend her now. What was that about? Mr. Liu asked Feng Wu tentatively. "Are you and His Royal Highness very close?" "Close?" Feng Wu snorted. "Mr. Liu, what do you think?" Mr. Liu shook his head and decided that he was thinking too much. How could these two people be close? He nodded and wrote Feng Wu a recommendation letter. With 3 such letters, a cultivator below level 9 could take part in the entrance exam for Imperial College. Feng Wu smacked her forehead. "Oh, damn." Mr. Liu looked at her in bewilderment. Feng Wu said, "I forgot to mention that a friend of mine is taking the exam as well." Mr. Liu frowned. "Another one? And what level is she?" "She's a level 7 spiritual master." Mr. Liu shook his head. "Are the two of you serious? You have no spiritual essence, and she's a level 7. How are you going to get in at all?" However, since Feng Wu had been given permission, an extra candidate wouldn't make much of a difference, and Mr. Liu didn't plan to make it more difficult for Feng Wu. After all, Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu had both mentioned Duan Chaoga in their letters. Once his letter was finished, Mr. Liu handed all the letters to Feng Wu. "Off you go. You could get your exam permit at the assessment office." Mr. Liu even sent his young servant along with Feng Wu to show her the way. The assessment office was awfully quiet at the moment, for registration was over. "We have quite a few good candidates this year," said a pretty blonde and blue-eyed female teacher as she flipped through the forms. She nodded appreciatively. "Princess Mu is taking the exam. This Ning Chinsi also looks really promising." And knock, knock, knock. Someone was tapping on the door. Who can that be? At this hour? About half a dozen teachers were in the office, and everyone turned to the door in bewilderment. The door opened. Feng Wu walked in, and everyone was astonished by her stunning beauty. All teachers, male and female, stared at her with open mouths. "Young lady, you are?" An affable elderly female teacher rose to her feet and went up to Feng Wu with a smile. "Such a pretty girl. How wonderful." Chapter 546. What makes you think you can get it? Chapter 546. What makes you think you can get it? Feng Wu liked this teacher and gave her a nod. "I'm here to register for Imperial College's entrance exam." Registration. The pretty blonde and blue-eyed teacher was the first to react. She rose to her feet, went up to Feng Wu, and looked her up and down. She only asked with a frown after a long moment, "Who are you helping to register?" She asked this because she couldn't detect any spiritual essence in Feng Wu. "Myself," Feng Wu said calmly. The blonde teacher was called Qiao Yi, and she considered herself a beauty and was well known in Imperial College for her good looks. However, she couldn't help but feel ashamed of her own unseemliness when she saw Feng Wu. Ergo, she didn't like Feng Wu. People could be strange this way. They didn't really need a reason to find another person unlikable. "Yourself? You gotta be kidding me." Qiao Yi stared at Feng Wu with wide, open eyes. "How? You don't have any spiritual essence at all." That was because Feng Wu had hidden her spiritual essence with her concealing jade. Thanks to the imprint which her beautiful master had left on the jade, only those with a more advanced cultivation level than him could detect Feng Wu's level. The elderly teacher was called Yu Yu, and she looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. "Kiddo, I need to let you know that you have to be a level 9 spiritual master at least to register for our entrance exam. How about you come back when you're a little older?" Yu Yu acted like a kind auntie and spoke to Feng Wu in a soft voice so as not to hurt the girl's feelings. Qiao Yi glanced at Yu Yu, then smirked. "Ms. Yu, the girl is useless in cultivation. It won't change no matter how many more years you give her. Why give her false hope?" After those words, Qiao Yi threw a dirty at Feng Wu. "You, don't leave things to luck. Just admit the fact that you're a good-for-nothing. Off you go. The office is closed." Feng Wu didn't seem to be offended by Qiao Yi's animosity at all. She only smiled. "Well, there are always exceptions." "Of course." Qiao Yi smirked. The rules of Imperial College stipulate that with recommendation letters from 3 different members of the Education Board, even some useless person with 0 spiritual essence can get an exam permit. "But you..." She glanced at Feng Wu contemptuously. "How was an insignificant girl like you supposed to get those letters? That was never going to happen. Even you didn't think that was possible, not to mention Qiao Yi." The other teachers in the room also smiled or smirked at Feng Wu. "Are those letters that hard to get?" With her hands behind her back, Feng Wu asked casually. "Phhh." Qiao Yi felt like she was talking to an idiot. "Are they hard to get? It's impossible to get them. Do you know what the Education Board is like? There are only 7 members in total. Every single one of them is at the top of their field, and they're all influential figures in the Empire. I'll give you an example. Have you heard of Grand Secretary Feng? He's a member of the Education Board, the Chancellor of the Empire, and a first-ranked official. Given his superiority, whom do you think he'll write a recommendation letter for?" Feng Wu didn't say anything. Qiao Yi snorted. "I'll give you another example. Do you know who Mr. Liu is? Well, he's the boss of my boss's boss. You can't even get through me. So how are you going to get a letter from him? Do you think that's possible?" Chapter 547. That's it. Chapter 547. That's it. Qiao Yi thought the girl would run away in shame after those words. After all, girls her age had very high self-esteem and didn't take criticism well. To Qiao Yi's surprise, the girl not only didn't run away, she didn't even blush. Feng Wu just stood there, perfectly composed, and looked at Qiao Yi with her bright, limpid eyes. There was something very attractive about her. She was already this stunning at such a young age. What would she be like when she grew up? Qiao Yi almost lost control of her jealousy. Yu Yu was much kinder, and she cast a stern glance at Qiao Yi. "Watch your attitude. We teachers should provide education for all people without discrimination. She's just a girl. You'll scare her. Feng Wu had left a good impression on Yu Yu. The latter took a liking to Feng Wu and was afraid that Xiao Yi might have intimidated the girl. However, Feng Wu only handed her 3 letters. What are these? Yu Yu was bewildered. Don't tell me you're going to bribe us now. Xiao Yi gave Feng Wu a contemptuous look. Kiddo, it'll never work in Imperial College. I'd take that bribe back if I were you. If you get reported for this. However, Yu Yu had opened the letters already. The first one was from Priest Wu, and he had recommended both Feng Wu and Xiaoga. Yu Yu looked at Feng Wu and her eyelids twitched a little. Feng Wu, age 13. Feng Wu, it can't be, can it? Yu Yu took Feng Wu's hand in excitement. You're Feng Wu. The Feng Wu. Which Feng Wu? The other teachers found that name familiar, but didn't recognize it right away. Which one do you think? How many Feng Wus can you find in the Imperial capital? Yu Yu is thrilled. She's the genius girl from the Feng clan. Feng Wu, the genius girl. All the teachers of Imperial College had heard of that name. For even Mr. Liu had wanted Feng Wu as a student when she was only 8. But now, your spiritual essence. Yu Yu felt sorry for Feng Wu. Everyone knew that Feng Wu had lost her ability. Feng Wu only smiled, but she neither admitted nor denied their assumptions. Xiao Yi frowned. That's past history. She has no spiritual essence whatsoever. Having her here is a waste of our resources. Yu Yu darted a glance at her. The letter is from old Master Wu. She then opened the second letter, and her pupils contracted. This is from Grand Secretary Feng? What? Xiao Yi, who had been frowning, rushed up to Yu Yu, grabbed the recommendation letter, and read it carefully. It really was from Grand Secretary Feng. How was that even possible? Wasn't the girl a good-for-nothing now? How could she get recommendations from both Old Master Wu and Grand Secretary Feng? And there's a third one. An idea struck Yu Yu, and she opened the letter. It's from Mr. Liu himself. Xiao Yi's eyes opened so wide that her eyeballs bulged out. That's impossible. How did you get them? Feng Wu frowned. Do I have to tell you? Yes, or we won't be able to verify the authenticity of the letters. Xiao Yi stared at Feng Wu. All right, Feng Wu shrugged. I know someone who knows Mr. Liu. Both Old Man Ba and Jun Lin Yuan were Mr. Liu's acquaintances, weren't they? Feng Wu thought that was a legitimate answer. However, Chapter 548, Face Slapping. Chapter 548, Face Slapping. Xiao Yi looked enlightened. That was it. The girl had pulled some strings. As for Grand Secretary Feng and Priest Wu, they must have written her the recommendation letters upon Mr. Liu's request. She would never be able to get in, and they were only doing Mr. Liu a favor. It wasn't something that hadn't happened before. At that thought, Xiao Yi darted a contemptuous look at Feng Wu. However, Yu Yu remained as friendly as ever, for she liked this beautiful girl, who had kept her composure the entire time. Looking at Feng Wu, she said sincerely, Miss Feng Wu, have you considered the formation or medicine department instead? The martial arts department is probably not the most suitable choice for you. Ms. Yu Yu, you're being too vague. You should just tell her that the martial arts department isn't for her at all. She'll never be able to get in, and even if she did miraculously get in, she'll be miserable there. Xiao Yi smirked. Of course Feng Wu would have chosen the easy way and gotten into the formation department if Jun Lin Yuan hadn't forced her to get into the martial arts department. She had no choice. Plus, the deadline has passed. What you want is kind of difficult to get. Xiao, you didn't want to make it easy for Feng Wu. I see. So the 3 recommendation letters mean nothing to you. Feng Wu only smiled. Xiao Yi shuddered at those words. Mr. Liu's words were as sacred as law here, and Xiao Yi certainly didn't dare defy them. She had some personal issues with Feng Wu, but she wasn't stupid. Miss, do you want to have a look at the timestamp on those letters? Feng Wu reminded her. Xiao Yi then checked the time, which rendered her speechless, for the letters had been written before the deadline. Xiao Yi threw a dirty look at Feng Wu. She had no other choice but to give Feng Wu her exam permit. She was going to give Feng Wu a hard time over Chaoga's exam permit again, but Yu stopped her. The Feng clan. Chaoga was waiting for Feng Wu. Sigh. Chaoga sat at the table and heaved a sigh. She then turned to Feng Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi, it was so frustrating. We almost had all 3 letters, but His Royal Highness sabotaged it all. I'm so mad. All Feng Xiaoqi cared about was his sister, and guys like His Royal Highness or Yu Minji were as good as thieves to him. He smacked the table at Chaoga's words. Chaoga looked at him in bewilderment. That's right. Feng Xiaoqi looked agitated. His Royal Highness is the worst. All he ever does is pick on my sister. That's so true. Duan Chaoga smacked the table as well. He doesn't just pick on her, he threatens her all the time. He's horrible. Knowing that man is the worst thing that has ever happened to your sister. Up in that leafy Chinese parasol tree outside the house, Chang Xin had sent one of his men to shadow Feng Wu, for he had realized how much His Royal Highness cared for the young lady. If that was the case, His Royal Highness must want to know what was going on with Miss Feng Wu, right? His man was known as Zero. Zero was a member of the Imperial Guards. He had just gotten here and sat down on a branch. He then heard the 2 kids, who had been sighing at each other, begin to smack the table one after another. And the things they said, it was treacherous. Zero felt like crying. To him, His Royal Highness was as superior and unapproachable as God, but those 2 lousy kids were saying such nasty things about his master. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.